1 CR, 1 CR, 1 CR for 3%.
You can't be saying all this.
And I ask of 10 lakhs to 250 crores.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Then Ramu and I actually invested.
Ritu, NDA.
Look at how somebody's dealing with rejection. Eh?
Some people didn't get the deal.
एक जना आउँछ 1 करोड अर्को आउँछ त 6 करोड
He's already a unicorn.
What were the metrics or models that instantly caught your attention and said, I don't want to miss this opportunity?
I looked दुईटा कुरा है
Ambassador Hotel, what's left?
This show is produced by Rework. As the producers of the show, we're proud to partner with Stellar, our title sponsor, Embark, our education partner, Realme, our communication partner, Aether, our two wheels partner, our hospitality partner, Hotel Ambassdor. Tired of spending hours and big budgets on endless manual testing? Say goodbye to all that. Introducing Stellar, the smarter AI-powered testing platform. It's simple, low-code, fast and cost-effective. Contact us for more details.
एम्बार्क त साँच्चीकै वर्ल्ड क्लास नै रहेछ
ग्लोबल स्ट्यान्डर्डको एजुकेसनको लागि अब विदेश नै जानु पर्दैन अब नेपालमै बसेर फ्युचर सिक्योर बनाउने हो
Empowering next gen to become skilled innovators. Embark College.
Namaste. Welcome back to What's With. Today's episode is slightly different from other episodes. Today's episodes has some big fish, some very big fish, some sharks. नेपालमा आर्थिक रूपान्तरण चाहिन्छ भनेर सबैजनाले भन्छ राजनीतिक ब्युरोक्रेट्स ब्याङ्कर्स बिजनेसमेन सोशल वर्कर्स बच्चाले भन्छ इकोनोमिक ट्रान्सफर्मेसन चाहिन्छ तर हाम्रो इकोनोमीमा यसो हेर्नुहुन्छ भनेदेखि के को अभाव छ भने एउटा पुलको अभाव छ एकतिर पुँजीपतिहरू हुनुहुन्छ अनुभव छ उहाँहरूसँग अर्कोतिर युथ छ आइडियाज र एनर्जी छ तर त्यो पुल मिसिङ थियो र उहाँहरू ब्याङ्कमा आउनुहुन्थ्यो र भन्थे हामीलाई ब्याङ्कले स्टार्टअपलाई दिँदैन ब्याङ्कले स्टार्टअपलाई दिँदैन संसारमा कहीँ पनि दिँदैन एन्जल फन्ड्स भेन्चर क्यापिटलिस्ट या शार्क्स र नेपालमा पहिलोचोटि शार्क ट्याङ्क हेज कम जहाँ चाहिँ शार्क्स र सानो सानो यङ एन्टरप्रेन्योर्स विथ आइडियाज विथ एनर्जी आर पुट टुगेदर टु से I have an idea, I have the energy, will you put capital behind me? We have today the 5 sharks of Nepal. And I am truly privileged to be able to sit here and do a What's With episode with them. Suruat garou sabhanda talkative shark bate Saurav ji. यहाँको धेरै रूपमा हामीले देख्छौँ हैन as a industrialist, as a businessman, as a stalwart of one of the oldest business families of Nepal, I would say. But we also see you on a motorcycle going around Nepal enjoying. We see you with Marvel, Iron Man, many routes. I just want to know, and everybody wants to know, about the start of Saurav Jyoti, your childhood, Kathmandu, and how you got here.
Firstly, thanks for having us, Anil. All the sharks, we're excited to be on the show. अब आफ्नो बारे कुरा गर्नुपर्दा चाहिँ अब थर्ड जेनेरेसन फ्यामिली बिजनेस एन्ड एक किसिमले एउटा लेगेसी बिजनेस माई ग्रान्डफादर वाज द फर्स्ट टु स्टार्ट द फर्स्ट स्टिल मिल इन नेपाल फर्स्ट अक्सिजन फर्स्ट वायर्स सो अ लट अफ फर्स्ट तर बाल्यकाल हेर्दा चाहिँ म बाहिर इन्डियामा पढेको थिएँ नर्थ पोइन्ट स्कुल दार्जिलिङ त्यसपछि गएर बेङ्गलोरमा मैले +2 र इन्डस्ट्रियल इन्जिनियरिङ त्यहाँबाट गरेँ इन अ वे आई वाज लिटल आइसोलेटेड किनभने अब नेपालमा यति काम छ यो छ भनेर अलि इग्नोरेन्स इज ब्लिस भन्छौँ एक किसिमले त्यहाँ पढाइ सकेर आए तर सकिँदा बेला पनि छुट्टीमा चाहिँ छुट्टी हुँदा चाहिँ घर आउँदा चाहिँ फ्याक्ट्री जहाँ चाहिँ हाम्रो ज्योति फार्म छ अल फ्याक्ट्रिज आर देयर हिमाल स्टिल हिमाल अक्सिजन जाँदा चाहिँ फ्याक्ट्री भिजिट गर्थेँ सो अलिकति आइडिया चाहिँ थियो चाहिँ नेपालमा फर्केर काम गर्नुपर्छ भनेर किनभने जिम्मेवारी चाहिँ धेरै छ भनेर 1999 पढाइ सकेर फर्केपछि एक किसिमले त यहाँको वातावरण र माहौलै अर्को रहेछ किनभने थ्योरेटिकल र प्र्याक्टिकल नलेजमा देयर इज अलवेज अ भास्ट डिफरेन्स सो अलवेज लर्निङ बाई डुइङ इज द बेस्ट तपाईँ विश्वकै सबैभन्दा राम्रो विश्वविद्यालयमा पढेर आए पनि थ्योरेटिकल नलेज मात्रै हुन्छ तर एक्चुअली नेपालमा काम गर्दा आकाश पातालको फरक हुन्छ र यहाँ आएपछि त एक किसिमले त तर्से नै भनौँ न एउटा त ल्याङ्ग्वेज ब्यारियर किनभने म घरमा नेवारी बोल्ने कलेजमा जेजुइट स्कुलमा इङ्ग्लिस कलेजमा इङ्ग्लिस नेपाली नै नहुने अब नेपालीमा चिठी आएपछि एउटा चिठी पढ्नलाई मलाई 10 मिनट लाग्थ्यो सो एट द एज अफ 27 आई टुक नेपाली ट्युसन्स किनभने नेपालमा नेपाली नसिकिकन व्यवसाय गर्न असम्भव छ त्यति मात्रै होइन तपाईँ पब्लिकली जानुभयो सङ्घ संस्था उद्योगवाणिज्य महासङ्घ त्यहाँ इङ्ग्लिस बोल्यो भने त यो होल रेपुटेसन इज एट स्टेक ठुला बडाहरू इङ्ग्लिस मात्रै बोल्ने सो एक किसिमले ग्राउन्डेड हुन त्यो प्रयास चाहिँ मैले अलिकति गरेँ र केही हदसम्म अहिले अलिकति नेपाली चाहिँ म बोल्न चाहिँ आउँछ पढ्न पनि अलि छिटै पढ्न सक्छु तर त्यो भन्दै सबैले भन्छन् एउटा सिल्भर स्पुन लेगेसी बिजनेस भनेर एउटा चाहिँ एक किसिमले चाहिँ ब्लेस्ड विच इज ट्रु आई डोन्ट डिसएग्री किनभने यु डोन्ट निड टु स्टार्ट फ्रम स्क्रैच एउटा प्लेटफर्म दिएको छ प्लेटफर्ममा बिल्ड हुनु पर्यो तर त्यो प्लेटफर्ममा वेन यु पुट अन द्याट पेडेस्टल जति छ यु हेभ द रिस्क अफ लुजिङ इट अल्सो अरू जस्तो तपाईँले 10 देखि 6 सम्म काम गरेर घर गएर आनन्दसँग बस्नु त्यो तपाईँको विलासता तपाईँसँग छैन तपाईँ 12 घण्टा 14 घण्टा पर्यो भने 18 घण्टा खट्नुपर्छ किनभने आफ्नो व्यवसाय आफ्नो उद्योग मात्रै होइन तपाईँको जिम्मेवारी भने आफ्नो उद्योग व्यवसाय सँगसँगै आफ्नो हजारौं कर्मचारी त्यसको अझै हजारौं परिवारहरू जुन चाहिँ आफ्नो कर्मचारीको परिवारको पनि जिम्मेवारी तपाईँसँग छ र केही भयो भने तपाईँ एकल जिम्मेवारी तपाईँ चेयरम्यान भएपछि डाइरेक्टर भएपछि तपाईँको जिम्मा हुन्छ त्यसैले त्यो किसिमले मेहनत पनि गर्नुपर्छ र त्यो सँगै एक किसिमले मेरो भाइ श्रीमती र पुरा परिवार र मेन्टरशिप गर्न चाहिँ हजुरबुवा र बुवा भएको हुनाले त्यो जिम्मेवारी लिन चाहिँ एक किसिमले गाइडेड किसिमले सहज पनि भयो र सफलतातिर अझै विकास गर्न व्यवसायहरूको विकास र विस्तार गर्न चाहिँ सफल चाहिँ भयो जस्तो लाग्छ तर एज आई सेड रिस्क इज देयर यु हेभ टु वर्क 14 to 18 hours a day जति सजिलो सबैले सम्झिन्छन् त्यति चाहिँ सजिलो चाहिँ छैन जुनसुकै स्तरमा भए पनि तपाईले आफ्नो मेहनत पसिना चाहिँ गर्नै पर्छ सफलताको लागि
एउटा कुरा चाहिँ मलाई चाहिँ धेरै मान्छेले सेलिब्रिटी ब्याङ्कर भन्छन् हैन यहाँलाई चाहिँ सेलिब्रिटी उद्योगपति पनि भन्छ मान्छेले मलाई पनि सोध्थे कसरी तपाईले समय बनाउनुहुन्छ म तपाईलाई सोध्छु कसरी समय बनाउनुहुन्छ बिकज अ लट अफ youth follow you and what you do not only for your industry but for the life you lead the passion you have for certain things so what fuels that 18 घण्टा त कामै गर्नु पर्यो हैन भनेपछि चाहिँ what fuels that नि
यो समय छैन भन्ने मान्छेको कसै कहिले पनि समय चाहिँ हुँदैन किनभने तपाईले जसरी बोल्छ तपाईको जीवनशैली जसरी हुन्छ तपाईको म्यानिफेस्टेसन हुन्छ यु विल अलवेज बी बिजी किन समय छैन त हैन तपाई अलि छिटो उठ्नुस् न त हैन 4 बजे उठ्ने प्रयास गरे मैले सकेन अब 6 बजेतिर उठ्छु म 6 भन्दा 6:30 सम्म आफ्नो समय हुन्छ आफ्नो स्वास्थ्यको लागि त्यो पछि आफ्नो काम हुन्छ र एक किसिमले मैले क्यालेन्डरमा शेड्युलै गरेर आफ्नो श्रीमतीसँग डिनर जाने बच्चाहरुसँग टाइम बिताउने पेरेन्ट्ससँग टाइम बिताउने विकेन्डमा शेड्युलै गरेर राख्नुपर्छ क्यालेन्डरमा शेड्युल गरेर राख्नु भयो भने तपाईले समय निकाल्नु पर्छ वर्क फ्यामिली ब्यालेन्स चाहिँ हुनुपर्छ एन्ड फ्रेन्ड्स आर इक्वली इम्पोर्टेन्ट यो त्यो एक्जाम्पल छ नि त तपाईको होइन विथ द जा विथ द बिगर स्टोन स्मलर स्टोन्स ठाउँै छैन भने स्यान्ड भरेपछि जहिले पनि ठाउँ चाहिँ हुन्छ त्यसैले त्यो प्रायोरिटीको हिसाबले विच इज इम्पोर्टेन्ट फर यर सेल्फ किनभने त्यो ब्यालेन्स तपाईँसँग छैन तपाईँ हार्ट एट पिस भन्छौँ नि हामी होइन हार्ट एट पिस छैन तपाईँ चाहिँ एक्लो तरिकाले एउटै भिजन लिएर काम 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 युल बर्न आउट एन्ड युल नट बी एबल टु पर्फर्म युल नट बी सक्सेसफुल त्यसैले त्यो वर्क लाइफ ब्यालेन्स एउटा चाहिँ हामीले जहिले पनि राख्नुपर्ने अत्यन्तै जरुरी छ र दोस्रो भने धेरै मेरो काम व्यवसाय भने एउटा प्यासन प्रोजेक्ट पनि हो सो त्यो भएको हुनाले आइ एम ब्लेस्ड इन द्याट वे सो अलिकति मोटरसाइकलको बिक्री पनि गर्छु म त्यो भएको हुनाले मोटरसाइकलतिर लगाव पनि छ र जहिले पनि म केही वर्ष अगाडि म घुम्न जान्थेँ मोटरसाइकल लिएर घुम्न जान्थेँ पछि अब युट्युबको जमाना आइसक्यो क्रिएटर्सको जमाना आइसक्यो अहिले क्रिएटर्स आर मेकिङ मोर देन द बिगेस्ट बलिउड स्टार्स होइन 3 पोस्ट अफ एन इन्स्टाग्राम वुड बी इक्विभलेन्ट टु अ हलिउड ए लिस्टरको मुभीको रिन्युमरेसन सो त्योतिर हुँदा चाहिँ आई अल्सो ट्राइड टु डकुमेन्ट वाट आई डु बेसिकली त्यो केही होइन आई एक्चुली वाट आई डु बट विथ अ क्यामेरा बिहाइन्ड भिजिटिङ अल द प्लेसेस अफ नेपाल प्रयास चाहिँ छ 77 जिल्ला तर कुनै ठाउँ पुग्न बाँकी छ मोटरसाइकलमा लिएर क्यामेरा बोकेर कहाँ जान्छु मोटरसाइकलमा जाने मान्छे भेट्ने विभिन्न खानाहरू हाम्रो कल्चर एन्ड सोकेस नेपाल भनेर त्यो प्रयास जारी भएपछि अलिकति चाहिँ मान्छेले अब मन पर्यो पनि होला र अलिकति त्यो वर्गले चाहिँ अलि मलाई भ्यू युट्युबमा भ्यू पनि गर्छन् र दे डु आई थिङ्क रिलेट टु मी आई वुड से
So, do you feel that building this personal brand, which you have built, I think there are many industrialists, many sharks also, but you've built. Has that helped you in any other, like in your business, in your industry? Do you find like जहाँ गए पनि they will say, oh Saurav ji, like if we all go together, they will recognize you and say, oh एउटा selfie खिचौँ यो गरौँ त्यो गरौँ भनेर चाहिँ. So, do you feel that that brand enhances your capabilities in your other facets of life?
Definitely, किनभने some brands are very strong. The brands represent the business itself. When you need to diversify and when you need to project yourselves, the personal branding is also very important. अब नेपालमा त केही भए पनि एउटा लेगेसी ब्रान्ड भएको हुनाले नेपालमा त्यो गरे तापनि नगरे तापनि त्यो सर्कलभित्र चाहिँ मान्छेले केही हदसम्म चिन्थ्यो होइन पद्मज्योतिको छोरा पनि हर्षको नाति भनेर तर मासेसमा जान र अलिकति ग्लोबली पनि नेपाललाई एउटा ऑब्जेक्टिभ तपाईले बोक्नु पर्यो हैन ऑब्जेक्टिभ के हो त one I feel is be yourself because you can't be something else on camera and then off camera because that will backfire so just take forward your passion take forward your business interests put yourself out there even if you're uncomfortable with something I always wanted to sing a song so I said I don't care you've reached a certain age where you don't want to impress people you do what you want if you like me that's great if you don't like me it's your problem so doing things exploring and that personal branding does help me like I'm a shark now maybe a part of it is because of my social media presence each one has their unique attributes so I would say that one of my attributes is there I try and devote a lot of my time I get called to colleges universities to talk to younger people so I think that's a calling एक किसिमले चाहिँ आफू सफल हुने र एउटा सीएसआर को कुरा गर्छौं योगदानको कुरा गर्छौं मेरो योगदान भने एउटा पैसा मात्रै हैन एउटा सीएसआर मा होला आफ्नो समय पनि हुन सक्छ इफ आई क्यान इन्स्पायर एकजना युवा इन अ टक शो अफ 100 people and he doesn't go to another country abroad to work नेपालमै एउटा रोजगारी सृजना गर्ने आफ्नो व्यवसाय सुरु गर्ने एकजना मात्रै त्यो 100 जना मध्ये एकजना भयो भने पनि I think that's a great achievement I would feel and more than that gives me self-satisfaction. So I think personal branding to a certain extent does work.
I agree. I fully agree. I couldn't agree more. अब कृषि प्रधान देश भनेर हामी सबैले भन्छौं हैन जहिले पनि भन्छौं अब त किसानै छैन पनि भनेर भन्छौं तर यस्तो बेलामा पनि Anand ji you have gone full on into agriculture as one of the main pillars of what you're doing in Nepal. Let us hear about your journey and how you got pulled into agriculture and what you see going forward.
Agriculture was never a matter of choice for me. I mean, it was something that I slipped into.
Okay.
I started what I do today is to buy my own freedom. So when back in college, Bangalore again, I I mean, you would be surprised to know that I worked for a bank for 2 months.
Oh.
And that's
Two
what
whole months.
Two
A
whole
long
months.
one.
And I realized that that's not cut out for me. And what was very important to me was ownership of my own time. And after a lot of thinking, I realized that that could be possible only if I became an entrepreneur. So I started looking at things from an entrepreneurial perspective just to buy freedom for myself. And tried a lot of things, failed in lots of them. I mean, could be a huge list. I used to carry a whole bunch of files, which were like maybe 20, 30 of, and each one of them was a separate project by itself. And early on, I decided that I would give it 10 tries before I think of anything else. And if I succeed on the 9th, somebody told me you'll break even. If you succeed on the 10th, you made it. I was lucky that I succeeded commercially a little earlier than trying to reach the 10th position. So that's how I landed into business. Coming to agriculture, I mean, after failing in few projects, I was at an exhibition in Thailand which talked about poultry. And I realized that, it's a huge business, and everybody thought it was a backyard chicken farming, right? There's a lot of science involved, there's a lot of biology involved, and the top lines were humongous, and it was still called backyard. So I thought, okay, I mean, coming from an engineering background, I mean, you're half a management graduate anyway. So you realize that if you can put technology, management together, it is just about managing resources to put the finances. And back then, so running pillar to post, I realized that I need to manage the finances now. And that's when the then sharks per se, I mean, or the angel investors, friends, family, and relatives, and all of that. So I took it upon me that I need to convince that this is an area where there is a humongous scope, even in Nepal, and livestock industry has been big in any country. And in context of Nepal, it was big. It still is big, right? So I took it as a challenge to convince my dad's friends to invest with me. And I had very little to, invest myself. So they invested for me with a condition that, if it doesn't work, I don't have the money to pay them back. As luck would have it, I mean, paid them back, and as per old understanding, bought them over. All of that happened, but that is how I started.
Wow. But after that, I mean, what were the sort of challenges you faced?
Initially, it was, a small company trying to do big turnovers, and, I was micromanaging every damn thing. And as you try to grow, you realize that even today, I feel that the challenge of growth is much more than, the challenge when you are very different. I wouldn't say much more or much less, but very different from a starting point to a growing point and to scaling up. And, so once started growing, then getting in new technology, trying to keep up with the global advancements. It was a lot of stuff. I even went to do an entrepreneurial management program at MIT just to be able to put structure into my own thought processes, right? And fortunately, I had a family which backed me up tremendously.
So today, when you look at the sector that you're in, do you see going forward better days than in the past, or do you see the days not so rosy?
See, if you talk about current scenario, I mean, everybody says ki khani mukh kam bhoye, a lot of migration has happened and all that. But at the same time, when you look at the amount of forex exchange reserves that we have, we say 17 months worth import ko, kyu kahan bata aayo tha? What has it brought in? It has brought in prosperity into a lot of families who are eating much better. They are willing to pay a bigger price for the little luxuries or little good things in life. And that's the opportunity as I see it. I mean, food quality demand has increased. You must have seen that there are a lot of restaurants that are opening up, and of various, earlier we used to say, okay, a small restaurant, is it, can you afford it or not? Taste was never important. Now, we are willing to pay for a good experience as well. So, things are changing, the dynamics are changing. Nepal ko case ma pani, we have never been into farming directly. We have always been in the front and the back end of farming. So we call ourselves a complementary company to all the farming practices. Farming in globally has changed shape because you don't need that many number of people. You need technology. Today we talk about equipments, we talk about drones, we talk about so much of automated systems. But what is missing in Nepal, and I still see an opportunity, is the aggregation, processing, and then the distribution of that.
Okay. No, I fully agree with you. If we continue to do agriculture like our forefathers did, I don't think agriculture is ever going to be a economic pillar of Nepal. But if we change the thought process and get people like you and others involved in
And
it.
also portfolio. I mean, what kind of products do we do for
Yes,
Nepal?
exactly.
We don't have to keep doing what we were doing 100 years ago.
No, we don't.
So that needs to change.
And this has got to be, at the highest level, the thinking has to change that chamal garnu paryo, dhan garnu paryo. No, let's look at what we can export. What is it that we can think, and land aggregation. Yatro jagama kehi pani hudaina, put everything together.
I think that also is, the mathilo level and land aggregation. Those are all cliched stuff now. I mean, you've been a banker for most of your life. I mean, the power of economy. When money moves, it's like how Bagaria जस्तै हुन्छ. So we've seen in a lot of cases, let's say sugarcane plantation, never these small land holdings didn't matter. When bigas and bigas were into sugarcane farming, right? So we need to create that now as we call it, the viral movement for agriculture to happen.
Yeah. We need to get the youth excited. कृषि प्रधान देश भन्छौँ, मेरो बाउ किसान भन्न नै हामी लजाउँछौँ भनेदेखि अनि कसरी कृषि प्रधान देश हुन्छ?
And it has to be profitable.
Of course, it has to be profitable. At the end, it has to be. It cannot be, I'm a farmer because I need to eat one meal a day and that's what I farm. And I think it's industries and individuals like yourselves which are pushing that forward. That's great. Ma'am, I'm so glad to see that there is gender inclusion in sharks as well. We know a lot about your journey, but still to hear, it's always a pleasure to hear about your journey from Delhi to Miss World to a shark. Let's hear about that.
Well, thank you so much, Anand. And of course, lovely being here. And so starting with my story, well, I come from a very happy, easy, loved childhood. So I think that was a very, very lucky thing to start off with. And I think that it's always a very big contributory factor to anybody's personality development or whatever it might be. And so I think, of course, was a very good student. So I think I come from a science and a maths background.
Oh, okay.
And then, of course, it was, and I think, of course, the push was that I was being asked to become a doctor, and I was very dedicatedly trying to go that way. It's only because my grandmother was very, you know how it is in the family, there has to be one doctor and an engineer. So the child who's good has to be that way. And but then by the class 9 or 10, I realized that's not me at all. That's not my personality. And that's the time when, of course, I did my science and maths till class 12. After that, I took admission into all possible zoology courses around around Delhi, in the best of colleges. More of a challenge to myself that I can get in. And other than that, of course, but then I changed my mind. I said, no, if I get in, I'll be in a very sad life and a very stressful life. So I changed to fashion designing and I became a fashion designer. And
wow, and what was the family reaction, from doctor to fashion designer?
Yes, my grandmother wasn't happy, but well, I'm glad I did change. And because I think that was more my calling, and I think it was more apt to my personality type. I think I'm a little bit too outgoing to become a doctor only. And so after that, of course, I think the biggest changes started happening to me was by the time I was at the age of 18, 19, is when I became a Miss India. And then, of course, life changed overnight. And from a college student, you are no more the girl in the house, you are the most sought after model, Miss India, traveling a lot and doing a whole lot of things like, which are very mature for an overnight growth. But I must say, I thoroughly enjoyed it all. And then I was very, very fortunate to be able to go for the Miss World. where I was in the top 10. And I went for the Miss India Universe, where I was a first runner-up. Then I went for the Miss Asia World, and I was the second runner-up there. So I think that was a very, very lovely journey. And in fact, that is the time when I grew many years. And I think in a very nice way. What happened was suddenly you are, as a college student, you are meeting people you would have just addressed as uncle and just hello, good morning, and moved on. You are sitting and dining with the governors of states, and you are meeting the ministers, and you are with the best and the cream of the society in whichever country you go. And at the age of 19, I had almost traveled the whole world on my own, without, not like assisted with parents and all of that. So it was more of, on my own because of the Miss India and through the modeling and all of that. So I think that was all really, really a very, very beautiful phase of my life, I would say. But one thing in my back of my mind I knew was, this is not going to be forever for me. It was good till I was, when you're very young and you are in that age when you are very happy about things like this. But I knew I'm going to move on and I'm going to be doing other things very soon. I didn't see myself on a ramp at the age of 40. Definitely not. So I, of course, and very luckily, I met Suraj, who was also during one of the fashion shows that he was hosting while I was here in Kathmandu. And then was the next phase of my life, which was when we got married, and I moved to Nepal. And moving to Nepal was a very big change for me from that very, very busy life of the whole month having one day off was like, oh, today I'm putting oil and nobody enter my room. From to a life, where you're like 30 days, 31 days in a month, you have nothing to do. And so I think that took me a year, and thanks to his understanding nature, I used to go back all the time. And I continued work. And then, of course, when I stopped, I started doing clothes here. And that found me a very, very good circle of friends here, and settled me in my life here. And I did that for 7, 8 years, 5, 7 years, I would say. Then had my child. And then, of course, after that, I started feeling I'm stagnating. It was no longer, because that gave me a good time to accommodate my motherhood and also be busy, yet, you feeling that sense of, that I am doing something myself. Then I think after 6 years, I said, no, this is not for me. Now I have enough time at hand because my son is already going to school. And so now I need to do something more, is when I stopped. And that was because I think sometimes when you're very engaged with something, you don't find time, or you don't let yourself think of something else. And my famous story of my 2 white hair, when I saw it, I said, oh shit, I'm getting old. I have to quickly cut my album, which I want to do in my life. So which I did, and thanks to my connection with the Times of India, that I was happy, I went up to, I knew Vinny Jain very well, so I went to him. I told him that, I would like to cut an album. So it all came very easy. And I think it looks so easy to me now that, it was so easy for me to just go by and say, but that was all thanks to the Miss India that, I had that connection, and they cut the album for me, which was nominated for the Channel V and all of that. So, and after that, of course, the next turning point was when my father-in-law fell sick. And that somehow brought me into the business part of it. And thanks to my economics and my mathematical background and my logic and my reasoning and my, I am very focused when I take on something. So that's when it all started. And here I am. So I took on Toyota because, Suraj was very much with my father-in-law. And later on, he was very engaged with FNCCI and a whole lot of other organizations. So that is the time when I got fully involved. And I took on everything like the sole person there. And after that, of course, we have started my heavy equipment division, which was started by me myself. The microfinance was something which I engaged myself. And finally, of course, we have been able to take it a little further. And the few other things which, we have done after that.
No, one of them is the complex that you've got your office in now. you know,
Our present office.
we knew you as being, you know, on the Tinkune and the thing,
Yes.
and then you took this place which was literally a rubbish
It was
dump
a
sort of a
dump
place.
site.
Yeah, dump
Yeah,
site.
yeah.
And now it's
It was
global
a dump
standard.
site, a disputed property.
Yeah.
So, of course, I had to go and talk to a bank and get things sorted, put everybody on the table and say, today is the decision making day, or else there is no other day. So, that's how we did it. And thank you for appreciating the office.
No,
Yeah.
it's beautiful. It's that's what visioning is about.
You know, she's a perfectionist, right?
Yeah. Oh my
So
God.
thank God she's not a doctor. Not by operate गरेर so फेरि एकचोटि गर्नु पर्यो मलाई चित्तै बुझेन. Thank you, Ritu, for not becoming a doctor.
Somebody on the like, well, possible, right? Thank God I didn't become a doctor.
अब हामी सबैलाई थाहा छ हाम्रो देश in a large way is run by remittance. हामीले लगाएको लुगा पनि अहिले हामी यहाँ काम गर्छौँ, हामी धन उत्पादन गर्छौँ, तर त्यो धन उत्पादन गरेको डलर युरो बाहिरको उडाउने त रेमिटेन्सबाटै हो. 17 months भनेर भन्यो, आई डोन्ट नो त्यसको पोजिटिभ नेगेटिभ आफ्नै छ, तर रेमिटेन्स ल्याउने सुरुवात इन अ लार्ज स्केल. एन्ड आई स्टिल रिमेम्बर वेन इनिसियली Chandraji used to talk about remittance and the potential, and people used to think के हो यो, because remittance भन्ने बित्तिकै there was a negative, हुन्डी हवाला गर्ने हो कि के हो गर्ने हो भनेर चाहिँ. But you've made it the mainstay, and with after you, of course, many have followed and banks have followed and so on and so forth and all that. So यहाँको चाहिँ सुन्नु न सर.
First of all, thank you very much for inviting me to this talk program. म चाहिँ I was born and brought up in Baglung.
Yeah.
बागलुङ चाहिँ म हाम्रो फ्यामिलीको सबभन्दा कान्छो छोरा हो चाहिँ.
Okay.
दाइ म हामी दुईजना दिदीहरू हुनुहुन्छ. सो आइ एम द यङ्गेस्ट. अनि म चाहिँ स्कुल बागलुङमै पढेको हो र स्कुलमा म राम्रो विद्यार्थी हो र म पनि साइन्स म्याथमा अलि इन्ट्रेस्ट लाग्ने भए हुनाले म चाहिँ स्कुलको जहिले पनि फर्स्ट सेकेन्ड भए हुन्थेँ. मेरो बुवा चाहिँ मलाई लाग्छ म 8 वर्ष जति थिएँ मेरो बुवा एक्सपायर हुनुभयो. सो आमाले सबै हाम्रो फ्यामिलीलाई चाहिँ टेक केयर गर्नुभयो र एसएलसी काठमाडौँ आउनुभन्दा पहिला एसएलसी पास गरिसकेपछि दाइ काठमाडौँ हुनुहुन्थ्यो र म चाहिँ दाइसँग काठमाडौँ आएँ. त्यसपछि मेरो ड्रिम चाहिँ डक्टर बन्ने थियो. डक्टर बन्ने थियो. म त्रिचन्द्रमा आइएससी जोइन गरेँ र डक्टर बन्ने ड्रिम चाहिँ लाई अगाडि अलिकति भनौँ न कम्प्यासनेटली म लागिरहेको थिएँ, राम्रै पढिरहेको थिएँ. तर समाउ फेरि त्यो पढ्दा पढ्दै एउटा अमेरिका, सबैजना त्यो बेलामा हाम्रो साथीहरू चाहिँ कलेजको साथीहरू सबैजना अमेरिका जाने एउटा भनौँ न लहर चलिरहेको थियो र अमेरिका जानको लागि सबैजना गइसकेपछि हामी पनि अब जाउँ ट्राई गरौँ भन्ने हिसाबले अमेरिका भिसा ट्राई गरेँ मैले. तर भिसा वाज रिजेक्टेड बेसिकली. अमेरिकाको भिसा 3 पटक 4 पटकसम्म ट्राई गरेँ, भिसा पाएन. अनि दाइले त्यो बेलामा ब्याङ्कमा काम गर्नुहुन्थ्यो र हामीले अब म दिदी दाइ हामी सँगै काठमाडौँ बसिरहँदाखेरि चाहिँ हामीलाई हाम्रो डे टु डे लाइफ चलाउनलाई अलिकति दाइको तलबले मात्र पुग्दैन थियो. सो हामीले एउटा कोल्ड स्टोर सुरु गऱ्यौँ सुरुमा चाहिँ. सो त्यो कोल्ड स्टोरबाट चाहिँ एउटा एन्टरप्रेनर्सको जर्नीमा म इन्ट्री भएँ र अब अलिकति त्यो म्याथको नम्बरहरूमा पनि अलिकति राम्रो भए कारणले गर्दाखेरि त्यो मलाई चाहिँ अब त्यो सेल्स पर्चेस सेल्सकोमा चाहिँ अलिकति बढी इन्ट्रेस्ट पनि लाग्नु लाग्यो र अब त्यो प्रफिट कहाँ कसरी आउँदो रहेछ भन्ने एउटा थाहा पनि भयो. र पछि म त्यसपछि अमेरिकाको भिसा नभइसकेपछि त्यसपछि जापान गएँ म. जापानमा 94 म 18-19 वर्ष जस्तो थिएँ. 94 मा जापान गइसकेपछि अब त्यहाँ भाषा भएन भने केही सम्भावना भएन. त्यहाँ एकदम त्यो भाषा वाज भेरी इम्पोर्टेन्ट देयर. अनि म ल्याङ्ग्वेज पढ्थेँ पनि अनि त्यसपछि म पार्ट टाइम काम पनि गर्थेँ त्यहाँ बेसिकली. र काम चाहिँ रेस्टुरेन्टमा गर्दाखेरि चाहिँ म जहाँ काम गर्थेँ त्यहाँ चाहिँ त्यो अलिक कर्पोरेट अफिसहरूको चाहिँ एरिया भएको कारणले गर्दाखेरि चाहिँ ब्याङ्कहरूको ठुलो अफिसहरू थियो त्यहाँ चाहिँ. त्यो बेलामा नेपालीहरू जापानमा करिब हजुरको त्यो 14-15 हजार जति हुनुहुन्थ्यो होला. स्पेसल्ली हाम्रो अब बागलुङको यता गोलकोटतिरको कुकहरू धेरै हुनुहुन्थ्यो. त्यो 94 तिर चाहिँ जापानमा भर्खर त्यो इन्डियन रेस्टुरेन्टहरूको चाहिँ एकदम लहर चलेको थियो र नेपालीहरू जति इन्डियामा हुनुहुन्थ्यो त्यो इन्डियाबाट डाइरेक्टली जापान गएको कारणले गर्दाखेरि त्यो एउटा नेपालीहरूको मुभमेन्ट धेरै थियो र म लकिली बागलुङबाट पनि भएको कारणले गर्दाखेरि एउटा कनेक्सन पनि भयो र साथीभाइ पनि राम्रै बन्यो। अनि त्यो टाइममा हजुरको अब 95 तिरको कुरा हो कि जस्तो लाग्छ मलाई। नेपालमा अब भनौँ न यता नेपाल ब्याङ्कको मात्र नेपाल ब्याङ्क र वाणिज्य ब्याङ्कको मात्र ब्रान्चहरू थियो र अरू कमर्सियल ब्याङ्कहरू खासै त्यति आइसकेका पनि थिएन मलाई लाग्छ। नेभीले एउटा मात्र भर्खर इस्टाब्लिस भएको थियो जस्तो लाग्छ र नेपालमा पैसा पठाउनु एकदमै गाह्रो थियो त्यो बेलामा। अब हामीले पैसा पठाउनलाई पनि एकदम गाह्रो थियो। जति पैसा कमाउँथ्यौँ त्यो पैसा पठाउनलाई चाहिँ गाह्रो थियो। अब त्यो स्विफ्ट चार्जहरू तिर्नको लागि एकदम धेरै पैसा लाग्थ्यो र 2 हप्ता 3 हप्ता लाग्थ्यो पैसा आउनलाई। सो अब त्यो ब्याक अफ द माइन्ड जहिले पनि हो यो त के अरे कस्तो गाह्रो रहेछ यस्तो भइरहेको छ भन्ने टाइपको हुन्थ्यो। र एक दिन चाहिँ हजुरको एकजना नाकामुरा सान भनेको त्यहाँको त्यो दाइची काङ्ग्यो ब्याङ्क भन्ने अहिले त त्यो मर्ज भएर त्यो ब्याङ्क छैन अहिले त्यो नामको मिजुओ भन्ने ब्याङ्क भएको छ। त्यो ब्याङ्कको म्यानेजर हुनुहुन्थ्यो। जहिले पनि त्यो रेस्टुरेन्टमा खाना आइराख्नुहुन्थ्यो। त्यहाँ चाहिँ उहाँलाई अब नेपाल भनेपछि एकदम मन पर्ने र नेपाली चाहिँ उहाँले माया पनि गर्ने र म अब त्यो बेला 18-19 वर्षको एकदम लर्निङ एटिच्युड भएको कारणले गर्दा मैले भाषा चाहिँ एकदम छिटो सिकिसकेको थिएँ। त्यहाँ भाषा सिकिसकेको कारणले गर्दाखेरि कम्युनिकेसन एकदम राम्रो भइरहेको थियो। र त्यसपछि त्यहाँ नेपालीहरू भर्खर गएको र त्यो भाषाको कारणले गर्दाखेरि उहाँहरूलाई पैसा पठाउनु एकदमै गाह्रो भइरहेको थियो। र अनि उहाँले चाहिँ मलाई के अफर गर्नुभयो भने त्यो ब्याङ्कमा चाहिँ त्यो रेस्टुरेन्टहरूको एरिया भएको हुनाले बिहानमा चाहिँ त्यो कुकहरू यहाँ पैसा पठाउन आउँछन्। त्यो अलिकति उनीहरूको त्यो धेरै त्यो एकाउन्टहरू नमिलेको कारणले गर्दाखेरि एकदमै समस्या भइरहेछ। अलिकति उनीहरूलाई ट्रान्सलेट गरिदिने काम गर्दै भन्नु पर्नुभयो र 1-2 पटक चाहिँ उहाँहरूको मैले ट्रान्सलेट गरिदिएँ। त्यसपछि पैसा टाइममा नआएको इस्युलाई सल्भ पनि भयो। अनि त्यसपछि त यसो यो त बिजनेस पो हुने रहेछ भन्ने टाइपले चाहिँ त्यो आइमीको एउटा इग्नाइट चाहिँ त्यहाँबाट भयो पछि। र पछि म दाइ पनि जानुभएको थियो जापान चाहिँ। दाइ जानुभएको थियो। दाइ पहिल्यै फर्किसक्नु भएको थियो बिचमा। अनि 98 मा म जापानबाट फर्किसकेपछि त्यो बेलामा दाइ ब्याङ्कमा काम गर्नुहुन्थ्यो। हामीले अब यो रेमिटेन्सको यस्तो सम्भावना छ। त्यो बेलामा भर्खर नेपालीहरू अलिकति विदेश जाने ट्रेन पनि अलि बढिया थियो र अब यस्तो सम्भावना छ भनिसकेपछि त्यहाँबाट यो एउटा नयाँ यस्तो बिजनेस कन्सेप्ट भयो भने कसरी चाहिँ हामीले अगाडि लान सकिन्छ भन्ने हिसाबमा 98 मा म जापानबाट नेपाल फर्केँ। त्यो बेलासम्ममा चाहिँ जापानमा हजुरको चाहिँ त्यो ठ्याक्क त्यो रेमिटेन्सको लेजिस्लेसन क्लियर थिएन। ब्याङ्कहरू मात्र थियो, प्राइभेट कम्पनीहरू थिएन। अनि नेपालमा आइसकेपछि हामीले सल्लाह गऱ्यौँ र एउटा यस्तो कन्सेप्ट चाहिँ कसरी लान सकिन्छ भनिसकेपछि दाइ अभियसली ब्याङ्कमा भएको कारणले गर्दाखेरि उहाँले त्यो कन्सेप्टलाई अगाडि कसरी लान सकिन्छ भन्ने हिसाबमा हामीले छलफल गऱ्यौँ र त्यो बेलामा हाम्रो गभर्नर चाहिँ डाक्टर तिलक रावल हुनुहुन्थ्यो बेसिकली। उहाँको पालामा यो एकदम नयाँ कन्सेप्ट कसरी लान सकिन्छ भन्ने हिसाबमा लेजिस्लेसन पनि थिएन त्यो बेलामा। र त्यसपछि हामीले चाहिँ एप्लिकेसन दिइसकेपछि अनि त्यहाँ राष्ट्र ब्याङ्कबाट एउटा लेजिस्लेसन भयो र त्यो लेजिस्लेसन भइसकेपछि फर्मल्ली अब रेमिटेन्स चाहिँ प्राइभेट कम्पनीले ल्याउन सक्ने एउटा वातावरण भयो। अब यहाँबाट त भयो, यहाँको लेजिस्लेसन त भयो, तर इम्पोर्टेन्टली हजुरको सेन्डिङ साइडको लेजिस्लेसन इज अझ इम्पोर्टेन्ट। त्यसपछि यहाँ रेडी भइसकेपछि फेरि म चाहिँ फेरि जापान गएँ र त्यहाँ करिब 3 महिना बसेर त्यहाँको वकिलहरूसँग सल्लाह चाहिँ गर्दाखेरि त्यो अलिकति टाइम लाग्ने हिसाबको भयो। त्यहाँको चाहिँ त्यति सजिलो भएन। सँगसँगै चाहिँ त्यति बेला ठ्याक्क त्यो मलेसिया सरकारले नेपाललाई चाहिँ एज अ सोर्स अफ इमिग्रेन्ट कन्ट्री भनेर चाहिँ भर्खर राखेको थियो। त्यसपछि अनि हामी मलेसिया गयौँ भनौँ 2000 को कुरा हो। अनि मलेसियामा गइसकेपछि मलेसियाको गभर्मेन्टले पनि भर्खर त्यो विदेशीहरू चाहिँ धेरै आइराखेको हुनाले अब यो चाहिँ एकदम यो सर्भिस त चाहिने चिज हो भन्ने हिसाबमा मलेसियाबाट चाहिँ हामीले 2000 मा लाइसेन्स लियौँ बेसिकली। सो फर्स्ट चाहिँ रेमिटेन्सको सुरुवात चाहिँ हामीले त्यहाँबाट चाहिँ सुरु गऱ्यौँ र अब सुरुमा हामी टेक्नोलोजीको पनि त्यति धेरै नलेज नभएको र बिजनेसको पनि बिजनेस ब्याकग्राउन्ड पनि नभएको हिसाबले चाहिँ सबै लर्निङ बाई डुइङ गर्दै गर्दै चाहिँ हामीले जब काम सुरु गऱ्यौँ त्यसपछि चाहिँ अब अलिकति सर्भिसमा फोकस चाहिँ कसरी गर्ने। अब सुरुमा टेक्नोलोजीमा इन्भेस्टमेन्ट पनि सबै नलेज पनि थिएन हजुरको चाहिँ। सो सुरुमा इन्फर्मेसन चाहिँ ट्रान्समिसन फ्याक्स हुँदै पहिला फ्याक्सबाट सुरु भयो, त्यसपछि इमेलबाट चाहिँ सुरु भयो र मलाई अलिकति टेकको इन्ट्रेस्ट पनि भएको र अलिकति त्यो लर्निङ एटिट्युड पनि भएको कारणले गर्दाखेरि चाहिँ मैले हाम्रो एकजना साथी हुनुहुन्थ्यो मर्केन्टाइलमा, अनि उहाँले सानो एउटा चाहिँ सिस्टम बनाइदिनु भयो सुरुमा चाहिँ। अनि त्यहाँबाट चाहिँ अलिकति ग्रो गर्दै 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 अनि बिजनेस चाहिँ बढ्दै गयो। त्यसपछि हामीले पहिला चाहिँ अलिकति सिस्टममा इन्भेस्टमेन्ट गऱ्यौँ र टेक्नोलोजी बिल्डअप पनि गऱ्यौँ, जसले गर्दा काठमाडौँबाट चाहिँ पहिलोपटक चाहिँ हामीले बाहिर ब्रान्चहरू पनि खोल्न सक्यौँ। अब यो त यहाँ रिसिभिङ साइडको पार्ट भयो र 2003-04देखि चाहिँ अब मलेसियाबाट हामीले काम सुरु गरिसकेपछि चाहिँ म चाहिँ धेरै जसो मलेसियातिरै बसेँ र मलेसियामै बसेर त्यहाँ बेसिकल्ली अब त्यहाँ बिजनेस एक्सपान्सन, मार्केटिङ, नेपालीहरूको ठाउँमा प्रत्येक ठाउँमा भिजिट गर्ने हिसाबले हामीले गयौँ। र बिस्तारै बिस्तारै त्यो एउटा सुरुमा जुन फर्मल च्यानलबाट नेपालमा पैसा आइराखेको थिएन, हामीले सुरु गरिसकेपछि बिस्तारै बिस्तारै त्यसको पोर्सन चाहिँ बढ्दै गयो र त्यो बेलासम्म मलाई लाग्छ मेबी 20% भन्दा बढी पनि आउँदैन थियो होला ब्याङ्किङ च्यानलबाट। ब्याङ्कबाट पठाउने भनेको अलिकति त्यो ब्याङ्किङ थाहा भएको मान्छेहरू मात्र, 80% चाहिँ सबै अनअफिसियल च्यानलबाट थियो। अब त्यो रेसियो बढ्दै 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 गएर अब अहिलेको हिसाबमा सिग्निफिकेन्ट अमाउन्ट भनौँ ओभर 80% चाहिँ ब्याङ्किङ च्यानलबाट चाहिँ हामीले ल्याउन सफल भयौँ। र अब हामीले मलेसियाबाट चाहिँ सुरु गरिसकेपछि सब्सिक्वेन्टली चाहिँ हामीले अरू अरू कन्ट्रीतिर पनि एक्सपान्सन गऱ्यौँ। पछि चाहिँ नेपालीहरू जहाँ हुनुहुन्छ स्पेसल्ली मिडल इस्टदेखि लिएर अरू कन्ट्रीहरूमा। त्यसपछि चाहिँ म मलेसिया बसिरहँदाखेरि चाहिँ त्यो जहिले पनि त्यो जापानबाट सुरु गरेको हुनाले चाहिँ जापानको लेजिस्लेसन कहिले बनाउन सकिन्छ भनेर चाहिँ अलिकति म फलोअप पनि गरिरहेको थिएँ। र पछि झन्डै झन्डै 2008 पछि चाहिँ 8मा चाहिँ जापानबाट पनि जापानको कानुनले पनि प्राइभेट कम्पनीहरूलाई चाहिँ दिन सक्ने बनायो। र त्यसपछि फेरि कोरिया हुँदै हुँदै चाहिँ नेपालीहरू जान पुग्नुभयो। त्यो ठाउँमा चाहिँ हामीले रेमिटान्सको एक्सपान्सन गऱ्यौँ। रेमिटेन्स सँगसँगै चाहिँ अब रेमिटेन्स मात्र नभएर त्यो रेमिटेन्सलाई कम्प्लिमेन्ट गर्ने बिजनेसहरू के हुनसक्छ, किनभने यहाँबाट चाहिँ विदेश जाँदाखेरि जुन के भन्छ पैसा लाग्छ होइन, त्यसको लोन जुन महँगो छ त्यो लोनलाई कसरी मिटिगेट गर्न सकिन्छ भन्ने हिसाबले सुरुमा हामीले चाहिँ 2004-05 तिर चाहिँ फाइनेन्स कम्पनी खोल्यौँ। तर अब फाइनेन्स कम्पनीको लिमिटेसन भएको कारणले गर्दाखेरि चाहिँ हामीले अब फाइनेन्स कम्पनीले फरेन करेन्सीको काम गर्न पाएन, हजुरलाई थाहा छ होइन। त्यसपछि चाहिँ होइन अब यो फाइनेन्सले हाम्रो बिजनेस एक्सपान्सनलाई सपोर्ट नहुँदो रहेछ, हामी चाहिँ ब्याङ्कमा जानुपर्छ होला भन्ने हिसाबले त्यसपछि सुरुमा हामी 7 जनाको टिमबाट चाहिँ सुरु भएको फाइनेन्स ग्लोबल ब्याङ्क चाहिँ खोल्दाखेरि 32 जनाको टिमबाट रिजनल ब्याङ्क बिरगन्जबाट खोल्ने हिसाबले हामीले चाहिँ काम गऱ्यौँ। र पछि रिजनल ब्याङ्क हुँदै ब्याङ्क चाहिँ काठमाडौँमा आयो र ब्याङ्क भइसकेपछि बेसिकल्ली अब विदेश जाने मान्छेहरूको अब खाता खोल्न पनि सजिलो भयो, लोन लिन पनि सजिलो भयो र पैसा पठाउनु पनि सजिलो भयो। त्यसले गर्दा होल एउटा इकोसिस्टम चाहिँ बिल्डअप भयो फाइनेन्सियल सर्भिस। र अनि त्यसपछि चाहिँ बिस्तारै बिस्तारै अब अरू भनौँ न त्यसको इकोसिस्टमभित्रको बिजनेसहरू टेकमा इन्भेस्टमेन्टहरू गराउँदै गयौँ। र अब मलेसियामा बसिरहँदाखेरि र त्यहाँबाट चाहिँ धेरै ट्राभल चाहिँ गरिरहँदाखेरि बाहिरतिरको चाहिँ एक्सपोजरको कारणले गर्दाखेरि नेपालमा नयाँ नयाँ के बिजनेसहरू ल्याउन सकिन्छ, नेपालमा के सम्भावनाहरू छ, हामी कति के भन्छ काम गरिराखेका छौँ र ती कामहरूलाई चाहिँ कति टेक्नोलोजीले चाहिँ सपोर्ट गर्न सकिन्छ भन्ने हिसाबमा चाहिँ अगाडि जाँदै गर्दाखेरि चाहिँ अनि पछि जति पनि हाम्रा अरू भेन्चरहरू आए जस्तो केबल कार यहाँलाई भन्दा त्यो 2003मा मलेसियामा गएको बेलामा त्यो गेन्टिङ आइल्यान्ड भन्ने ठाउँ छ, त्यो गेन्टिङ आइल्यान्डमा गइसकेपछि चाहिँ ओहो नेपालमा पनि एउटा यस्तै बनाउन पाए हुन्थ्यो भन्ने एउटा ड्रिम चाहिँ त्यहाँबाट चाहिँ सुरु भयो। द्याट वाज माई ड्रिम प्रोजेक्ट बेसिकल्ली हजुरको चाहिँ। र त्यसपछि चाहिँ अनि बिस्तारै बिस्तारै भनौँ न हामीले जति पनि पैसा चाहिँ बिजनेसबाट कमायौँ त्यो पैसा चाहिँ रिइन्भेस्टमेन्ट चाहिँ गर्दै नयाँ बिजनेस एक्सपान्सन गर्दै गर्दै लग्यौँ र त्यो केबल कार चाहिँ वास्तवमा त्यो एउटा ड्रिम प्रोजेक्ट हो र मलेसियाको एउटा सिम्बोलिक हिसाबमा मलेसियाको जस्तो गेन्टिङ आइल्यान्ड चाहिँ नेपालमा सानो स्केलमा कसरी बनाउन सकिन्छ भन्ने हिसाबमा बनाउँदै बनाउँदै जाँदाखेरि सुरुमा चाहिँ हामीले त्यो एउटा चोबारमा सानो एउटा चाहिँ प्रपर्टीमा भनौँ न सानो एउटा साथीको जग्गामा चाहिँ सुरु गरेका थियौँ तर पछि चाहिँ त्यो हामीले जुन सोचका साथ हामीले बनाउनु खोज्यौँ त्यो जग्गा सानो भइसकेपछि अनि पछि हेर्दै 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 जाँदाखेरि चाहिँ माथि त्यो चन्दागिरीको डाँडोमा आइपुग्यो र त्यसपछि चाहिँ सब्सिक्वेन्टली अरू प्रोजेक्ट्सहरू चाहिँ त्यसको रिप्लिका चाहिँ बनाउँदै गयो बिचमा हजुरको म आइएससी पढेर गइसकेपछि त्यो मलाई पढ्ने थस्ट जहिले पनि अलिकति चाहिँ भएको कारणले गर्दाखेरि जापानबाट फर्किसकेपछि फेरि म यहाँ सरस्वती क्याम्पसमा म पिबिएस पढेँ त्यसपछि मैले शङ्करदेवबाट मास्टर्स पास गरेँ र त्यो सँगसँगै चाहिँ त्यो जहिले पनि त्यो अमेरिका जाने एउटा जुन धोको थियो होइन सुरुदेखि चाहिँ पढ्न जाने अमेरिकन युनिभर्सिटीमा पढ्ने जुन एउटा धोको थियो त्यो चाहिँ मैले त्यो एउटा पछि इओमा जोइन गरिसकेपछि त्यो एमआइटीमा एउटा एन्टरप्रेनर्स मास्टर्स प्रोग्राम भन्ने 3 वर्षको कोर्स हुँदो रहेछ त्यो एउटा गर्न पाएँ त्यसले गर्दाखेरि त्यसले मलाई एउटा डिफ्रेन्ट एक्सपिरियन्स र एक्सपोजर पनि दियो बिजनेस कसरी स्केल अप गर्ने र मोर देन द्याट त्यो आफ्नो एउटा जुन थट प्रोसेस आफूमा मात्र भएको थट प्रोसेसलाई अलिकति भ्यालिडेट गर्ने अवसर पनि दियो त्यसपछि चाहिँ एक्चुअली हार्वर्ड त जानै पर्यो भन्ने एउटा चाहिँ हुटुटीले गर्दाखेरि चाहिँ मैले 2012 देखि अप्लाई गरेको थिएँ हार्वर्डमा 2015मा मलाई बोलायो हार्वर्डले चाहिँ त्यो अनर्स प्रेसिडेन्ट म्यानेजमेन्ट भन्ने प्रोग्राम हुँदो रहेछ उहाँहरूको त्यो 3 वर्षको प्रोग्राम चाहिँ मैले गर्न पाएँ त्यहाँ चाहिँ त्यसले एउटा संसारको भनौँ न ठुला ठुलो अर्गनाइजेसनहरू कसरी चाहिँ चल्दो रहेछ उनीहरूको थट प्रोसेस र हाम्रो थट प्रोसेस चाहिँ के चिजमा फरक हुँदो रहेछ र हामीले चाहिँ के कुराहरू सिक्न सक्ने रहेछ भन्ने चिजहरू चाहिँ त्यसले एउटा राम्रो एक्सपोजर दियो र त्यसपछि चाहिँ अब मेरो अहिले पनि भनौँ न लाइफ इज अल अबाउट लर्निङ जस्तो लाग्छ सधैँ नयाँ नयाँ कुरा चाहिँ सिक्नलाई मनपर्छ र म त्यसरी नै अगाडि बढिरहेको छु
वाउ व्हाट अ जर्नी है व्हाट अन एपिक जर्नी रियली यो I think for a lot of people who are watching, who look at people like me, let's say, and many of us and say, यिनीहरू त silver spoon ले जन्मेको यिनीहरू त गरिहाल्छन् नि भनेर चाहिँ, and the candor and the humility that you said, होइन दाइको तलबले पुग्दैन थियो त्यही भएर कोल्ड स्टोर एउटा खोल्यौँ. I want everyone to understand कि आज when you look at global IME, when you look at Chandragiri, when you look at the two brothers, remember that that was the starting point and there was the vision, the अमेरिकामा भएन छोडिदिउँ भनेर होइन जापान जाउँ यो गरौँ. Amazing journey, really inspirational, truly inspirational. And now the final shark. अब त नेपालमा जहाँ गए पनि होइन तराईमा जाउँ पहाडमा जाउँ हिमालमै जाउँ पनि बोलेरो र स्कर्पियो नपुगे कहीँ पनि हुँदैन होला. Agni Group does many things, but that is what I think नेपालको गाउँ गाउँमा पुगेको. Although there is of course other vehicles also and Toyota is also everywhere, but भनौँ grassroots levelमा देखि जाने भनेको is that too. Let's hear about your journey and the journey of Mahendra and how it has taken over Nepal in this manner.
Okay. Suruma, when I got married, that's when the pressure actually came for me to make some money. So,
all right.
So I started Tibala, it was early 90s. India, a lot of the multinationals were coming in, JBs, setting up plants, all that. Earlier it was based in Singapore or Hong Kong. So I had started this company called Himalayan Business System, which was more, focused into IT and telecom and, like office electronics, things like that. त्यो सुरु गरेँ, but it was too early. त्यसमा मैले त्यो बेला इन्डियामा रफली 17वटा कम्पनीको एजेन्सी ल्याएको थिएँ. मोली अलिबेटी, टाटा टेलिकम, थिङ्स लाइक द्याट. अनि त्यसमा चाहिँ एक्चुली ओन्ली कपल अफ कम्पनीज डिड ओके. त्यो गर्दा गर्दै देन आई गट द अपर्च्युनिटी टु मिट महेन्द्रस. महेन्द्रस वाज त्यो बेला नट a very high-tech company. It was very, very basic. I think उनीहरू यहाँ नेपालमा आएर सबै ठुलो बिजनेसम्यानलाई भेटेर एजेन्सी ल्याऊ भन्दाखेरि कहिले पनि नलिएको कम्पनी थियो त्यो बेला. So I met them and I started this because my focus was India. India was opening up भनेर त्यो बेला focus I started. र मेरो first target was 14 vehicle.
Okay.
In a year.
In a year?
Okay. So that's how it started. Then I moved to 25. र त्यो बेला सुरु गर्दा like I don't come from a business family. So my mindset was म चाहिँ अरु आफै गर्छु. कोहीसँग पनि पैसा लिन्न. I will, you know, my idea is good. I have a good concept. The banks are there. भनेर I think 4-5 years the bank चाहिँ धाएर बस्यौँ. But like you said, startup लाई ब्याङ्कले त्यति सजिलो पैसा दिँदैन. But luckily त्यो टाइममा के हुन्थ्यो भने people didn't hold inventory or they didn't have showrooms. So त्यो बेला एडभान्स दिएर बुकिङ गर्थ्यो कि. So त्यही पैसा like rotate गरेर we managed to take the numbers up. अनि अब यो it's an Indian business. So Indian business मा चाहिँ के हुन्छ it's more about volume, number of vehicle than margins.
Yes.
So I had to hit a figure, decent figure before I started making money. So more than 15 years, nearly 17 years, I was in the red.
17 years?
I was in the red.
Okay.
Right? So, अनि त्यो बेला चाहिँ then I realized is like in between is Kathmandu is not Nepal. I need to move out. होइन भनेर I think one of the first few companies, I think prior to that only very few companies, the older companies were there, outside presence was there. So among the new companies, I moved 5 different offices, very small offices, 1 shutter, 2 shutter kind of offices in Birganj, Harion, Chitwan. So I experimented with that. That paid off.
Okay.
The turning point was when I finally went into the green was when Scorpio was introduced. It was not a high-selling vehicle. तर त्यो बेला first constituent election मा the UN wanted I think 75 vehicles, but they had a time frame of 45 days.
Okay.
So like the bigger companies like the Toyotas, Mitsubishis, nobody could supply in that 45 days. And I took on that offer. The vehicle came, but you know, it was not even, Mahindras were not even shortlisted in the UN supply list. So they gave me a contract because they were not handing over the vehicles after the election to the government. They were auctioning it. So they gave me on the condition that I would pick up the first lot of vehicles myself.
Okay.
Okay. So they used it for a year and they auctioned it. I did pick up the first 22 vehicles auction. तर मार्केटमा कस्तो हल्ला भयो भने युएनको गाडी बुलेट प्रुफ वाट एभर यु नो इट्स फ्यान्सी इट्स लाइक गट द ग्याजेट्स सो द्याट रिसेल भ्याल्यू एक्चुली वेन्ट भेरी हाई सो द सेकेन्ड ह्यान्ड युएन भेहिकल्स वाज सेलिङ हायर देन वाट वेयर सेलिङ न्यू भेहिकल्स फ्रम द सोरुम कि एन्ड द्याट रियली यु नो पपुलराइज द स्कोपियो अनि अर्को चाहिँ वाट वी डिड वाज एज यु नो वी ग्रू ब्याङ्किङ kind of supported us. We started keeping a lot of inventory.
Yes.
You know, and that again took the sales up because people could get whatever they wanted instantly. And that was one part that you know helped us grow. Second, हामीले के गर्यौं भने this is all like from this is a copy from Sri Lanka. So our target was every 3 hours ma there should be a touch point. Mahindra touch point.
Okay.
You know,
in Nepal.
In Nepal. When you drive for 3 hours, it could be 60 kilometers or 200 kilometers. If it took 3 hours, means there should be a signboard and you could connect somehow for the service. So, Tyo Garim, that changed again. Certain, you know, it made it more popular because of the service network. And right from the beginning, what we tried to do, because we were very strong rural areas, Gaon Garma, Bato Baniki, first car was very fancy car, उद्घाटनलाई जान्थ्यो, ribbon कट्थ्यो, त्यसपछि it was ours. जति rough, त्यति better for us. So we started actually tying up Nepal with Mahindra. So I don't know whether you noticed from years back, our branding always carries a little bit
Yes.
of Nepali touch.
Yeah. Yes.
We
Yeah.
actually try to blend the vehicle with the Nepali background.
Yeah.
So that changed the whole thinking of people. They found it much more उनीहरूको आफ्नै जस्तो फिल भयो गाउँहरूमा पनि. So it performed well. It performed well. So now I think Bolero is a brand by itself, Scorpio is a brand by itself, and things just change.
Yeah. In fact, in that, I think if you ask Scorpio कसले बनाउँछ, majority normal people will not know. They will know Scorpio, they will know Bolero, they will not know Mahindra. You know, unlike with Toyota, they'll say Toyota Land Cruiser and things, because that brand itself, those vehicles have done so well. So do you see it growing with this electric vehicles and
no,
everything else happening?
Just about like Mahindra is also moving in the EV space. You know, side by side, they have an old EV company, which the Rebas and all came from. They make, they call it the last mile mobility. They make the three-wheelers, they make the small pickups, things like that out there, the 400, all that. But on the side, they have another company, which was based in UK. 6 years back then, they've been developing vehicles.
Okay.
Electric vehicles. They finally launched it in India. Vehicle, it's not even, the company is not even Mahindra, it's named a different company, but it's manufactured and distributed by Mahindra. So they have this cars called BEV 9 and 6, which India is done very, very successful. We have here some come in for testing.
Okay.
So we have like 6 different kind that will go around Nepal. We usually test it for 10,000 kilometers each.
Okay.
And hopefully we will launch it next month.
Oh.
And actually, if you haven't seen, just check it out.
Okay.
You'll be surprised at the level.
Oh.
It's got like auto parking features, you know. I test drove it in Chakhan, Pune. You know, you can drag your car on a screen and it parks it up.
Wow. That's very useful for
So
Kathmandu.
we'll be coming into the EV segment.
EV segment as well. Okay, that's wonderful. So tell me about Shark Tank. How did you guys get roped in? First of all, forget the people you gave the money to. How did you guys get roped in? What was the pitch that they gave you to say?
Yeah, I think start with Ramu.
Yeah.
You have to start with Ramu,
Yeah,
actually.
he's
The man.
He roped the rest of us in.
Yeah. He's the one who brought this idea. He has
Oh.
to tell you this.
So म चाहिँ 2003-04देखि झन्डै 2015सम्म धेरै जसोमा मलेसिया बस्थेँ त्यहाँ बेस बनाएर आई वाज ट्राभलिङ हियर एन्ड देयर अनि त्यहाँ बसिरहँदाखेरि चाहिँ त्यो जहिले पनि अब बेलुकी टिभी चाहिँ त्यो सार्क ट्याङ्क मैले हेर्थेँ त्यहाँ चाहिँ र यो नेपालमा चाहिँ यो इम्पोर्टेन्ट छ किनभने नेपाल जस्तो कन्ट्रीको लागि एउटा यो एन्टरप्रेन्योरल इकोसिस्टम इन्भेस्टमेन्ट इकोसिस्टम जरुरी छ यस्तो प्रोग्रामहरू नेपालमा लानु पर्यो भन्ने हिसाबमा त्योदेखि चाहिँ अलिकति दिमागमा बसिरहेको थियो र लकिली हिमालयन टिभीले जुन प्रोग्राम ल्याइसकेपछि आई थिङ्क पहिला सुरुमा आई जस्ट फ्लोट द आइडिया अफ यु नो बिकमिङ अ सार्क र त्यसले दुईटा एउटा त अलिकति यो नेपालको युथ पपुलेसनलाई चाहिँ कसरी बाहिर जाने मात्र होइन नेपालमा पनि धेरै सम्भावना छ भन्ने एउटा मेसेज दिने पनि एउटा अब्जेक्टिभ हो एउटा र नेपालमा होइन अलिकति डिफ्रेन्ट हिसाबले चाहिँ बिजनेसलाई नयाँ आयाम दिनुपर्छ भन्ने अर्को अब्जेक्टिभ पनि हो त्यो चाहिँ र बेसिकली मलाई पनि त्यो नयाँ नयाँ के भन्छ भेन्चरहरू क्रिएट गरिरहन मन पनि लाग्छ रमाइलो पनि लाग्छ नयाँ नयाँ ठाउँमा इन्भेस्टमेन्ट गर्न मन पनि लाग्छ र स्पेसल्ली यङ मान्छेहरूमा चाहिँ इन्भेस्टमेन्ट गर्न मन लाग्ने हुनाले चाहिँ यो प्रोग्राम चाहिँ मेरो एउटा थट प्रोसेस र यसको जुन अब्जेक्टिभ चाहिँ ठ्याक्क मिल्ने भएको कारणले गर्दाखेरि चाहिँ आई थिङ्क द्याट वाज द फर्स्ट क्याच
Because it's slightly different. Ki aru reality shows mata you go, you do whatever, sing, dance, this, that. There's no skin in the game. Yahan there's it's a question of rupees. You're not just sitting there and listening to ideas and putting a thumbs up or a thumbs down. You're signing with your checkbook. And from what I understand, it's close to 40 crores you all have invested.
We cannot say anything.
Yeah, we have. That's.
I think it's 49 crores.
No.
Total.
No.
Oh, that's not happening.
That's what happening.
You signed the NDA, not supposed to disclose
I only
figures.
said that's not happening. I didn't say what is not
You can
happening.
give a much higher figure, it's okay.
Okay.
But whatever it is, for the first season, for a new thing to come up, and for entrepreneurs to pitch their ideas and actually get 30, 40, 50, whatever crores of rupees as actual commitment to invest in your idea, in your business, is phenomenal. So what did you guys look at? Did you look, अंग्रेजी राम्रो बोल्छ यसलाई पैसा दिउँ भनेर दिउँ कि did you go deep dive into it?
Personally, मेरो चाहिँ है,
Uh-huh.
I, of course, the idea and the innovative part, creative part was already there. But I looked at a lot of the person, as a person, how honest did he look, how transparent he was with the pitch, because the मान्छेबाट पनि you kind of can judge,
Yeah.
how's
What
work
you want to do
ethics,
with your
all
money?
that money, yeah,
Yes,
the trust has to be built up for me personally. I don't know about the others.
So मैले त आनन्द हेरेर मैले लगानी गरे उसले त नम्बर सम्बर लिएर चिडफाड गर्थ्यो अनि आनन्द ठिक छ भन्यो भने अनि because he was the numbers guys, he used to dissect it and do the financial analysis and then
I completely second that. He was the numbers
No,
guy.
no, but having said that, for me, that was not the criteria. I mean, balance sheet was not very exciting to me. What has always been very exciting to me, I mean, contrary to the perception a lot of people have about me, is I'm very risk prone kind of thing, but I'm not. I'm very innovation prone. I'm very to convention business like ultaera herna man lagne, so I don't want a cement plant, me too business kind of thing, right? So for me, anything that has a different thought process excites me. And then for me, when I calculate, I look at it that how do I put numbers in this idea? And if he's already done that, how can I take it forward is what excites me. And this is what I have a thick booklet of notes from the
So,
Shark
but,
Tank.
yeah, but I think, other than the cheerfar that he used to do, what I feel is that, it is a business idea, okay, which you say, oh, wow, okay. But then it's completely seconded by the entrepreneur himself. Because is he worth it? Is he going to execute it correctly? Is he really focused and is he there to deliver or is he just here to pitch?
But then in 45 minutes, you know the red flags.
Yeah.
So how long did you interview each person?
कस्तो हुन्छ भने एउटा चाहिँ लगानी गर्ने अन सिरियस नोट के हो भने एउटा द फायर इन द भ्याली भन्छौँ नि एउटा बिजनेस आइडिया अलिकति रिफाइन गर्न सकिन्छ एफिसिएन्ट गर्न सकिन्छ मोर प्रफिटेबल द फायर इन द बेली एन्ड द्याट द अरा द पर्सनालिटी त्यो पोजिटिभिटी अफ द अन्टरप्रेनर क्या किनभने पैसा चिटफाड गर्ने एउटा कुरा छ फाइनेन्सियल्स विल कम इन इट इज इम्पोर्टेन्ट तर उसँग काम गर्न एउटा चाहिँ इट सुड एक्साइट यु र उसको पोजिटिभिटी उसको आइडियामा are you excited to be a part of his journey so that you can act as an accelerator to grow his business at the same time make money? That's important.
Yes.
And which other platform will you get? You're talking about the time, right? Some pitches took over an hour, some pitches 15 minutes.
Oh.
But
those 15 minutes was when Saurav didn't get poetic.
होइन 15 मिनट तपाईले भन्नु ल 15 मिनेटमा 1 करोड लगानी पाउने कुन प्लेटफर्म छ
Exactly.
तपाईँ
15
ब्याङ्कमा
मिनटमा 1
जानुहोस्,
करोड कहाँ 15 मिनटमा त चिया पनि पाइँदैन 1 करोडको त कुरै छोड्नु
त्यो मलाई एक्सपिरियन्स कस्तो भन्दाखेरि हजुरको चाहिँ त्यो भनौँ न त्यो पर्सनालिटी उसको त्यो कन्भिक्सन त्यसपछि गएर उसको जुन हङ्गर होइन उसको त्यो एउटा प्यासन त्यो 3टा 4वटा कुराहरू चाहिँ सुरुमा एकछिन कुरा गर्ने बित्तिकै मोरलेस थाहा भइहाल्छ र त्यसको अर्को चाहिँ भनौँ न माथि अपवर्ड ट्रेन कस्तो जान सक्छ त्यसको चाहिँ स्केल अप चाहिँ के हुन सक्छ त्यसको माथि कहाँसम्म लान सकिन्छ त्यो बिजनेसलाई स्केल अप गरेर कहाँसम्म लान सकिन्छ भन्ने हिसाबको चाहिँ त्यो एउटा दिलमा त सौरभको र मेरो एकदम राम्रो जुवारी पनि पर्यो है एउटा त्यो
ओके
Again, NDA.
तर उले पैसा पाए कि पाएन पैसा पाए
कुन वाला
But like,
India.
but
Watch the show.
me as a shark, when we go, it's not only the investment. Investment, the person has many other different places where he can raise money or get a loan or invest. त्यो मान्छे, how receptive is he gonna be to our, experience or our, A lot of things we also outsource our expert. We get expertise from outside. When we are talking to them, we are not just using our expertise. We are using multi-people expertise. हुन्छ नि त्यो सुन्नु पनि पर्यो. Because हामी त going in at like whatever small stake, we are not going to be running the company. At the end of the day, he has to run the company. But if he listens early, a lot of the problems that we've gone through, he might not have to go through the same problem again. So that is also important. The मान्छेले सुन्ने मान्छे छ, learn गर्ने छ कि छैन, त्यो पनि is very critical.
अलिकति गाईगुई चाहिँ सुनेको चाहिँ ओहो यहाँ त आइपी पेटेन्ट बिजनेस आइडिया चोर छ. So that is not Shark Tank. Shark Tank is an accelerator program. A lot of the sharks have invested their money, their time, their resources. Of course, एउटा profitability हुन्छ. त्यसले गरेर चाहिँ it could go into 8x, 10x. We are along for the ride. But a lot of the projects मा चाहिँ we have an exit plan. If you talk to the sharks, we have invested the money, we grow this much, exit गरेर मेरो जुन चाहिँ साउ र नाफा त्यो बेलासम्म गरेर exit and they will continue.
So there's one category of the exits, and there's some which you feel that they could grow for a very long time, and maybe you'll never exit. I mean, it'll look like a plan which will be a lifetime. So, well, we've invested in both kinds.
You need the support of the bigger players. I mean, network, expertise.
The capitalization of the idea itself is kind of worrisome. I mean, you have a great idea, you think you are a unicorn already in your mind. And then I call it the ownership fixation, where you would rather be 100% of nothing than be 10% of a large enterprise, right? So this is something we faced even at the Shark Tank, and this is something which is probably needed to be broken down, I mean, even at the country level. So,
but I think Anand, let's give it to them that, they're also facing us for that half an hour. And it's like,
fair enough.
And they come with this thing that sharks are there to attack you. And they are going to...
Shark Tank goldfish tank.
What Saurav started out with.
Excuse me, what did he say just now?
So what Saurav said, no, idea chor dincha. Idea chorna, there are hundreds of ideas which are not implemented, and each one of us probably, if we write down 10 ideas, there will be 5 which would be common.
And ekdam calm ideas which has not been done somewhere before. Everybody copies an idea and gives it a twist. Normal. We all do that. We copy idea, and it's good to copy.
Of course.
If you're doing something really smart, why not copy you?
And
nothing wrong.
And the thing is, the way you execute is
how we
what makes
learn.
a difference.
मलाई त के कसो भयो भने जहिले पनि अब आफ्नो आफ्नो बिजनेस व्यस्त हुन्छ, आइडिया चाहिँ हुन्छ, यो गर्छु, तर समय पाएर समय नपाएर त्यो कार्यान्वयन गर्न हामीले इट डजन्ट रियलाइज इन्टु बिजनेस आइडिया. तर त्यहाँ बस्दा त यो आइडिया त गरेछ यसले, मैले सोचेको ल म लगानी गर्छु. He is working on it, I'll support him, and my dream also comes through his effort and through his business model. So that was exciting for me.
सो धेरै जसो प्रोजेक्टहरू कस्तो लाग्यो भने मलाई चाहिँ एकदमै नयाँ डिस्ट्रप्टिभ टाइपको प्रोजेक्टहरू र धेरै जसो चाहिँ अलि टेक इनेबल्ड बिजनेस र टेकमा अलि बढी नयाँ नयाँ सम्भावना भएका र यस्तो प्रोडक्टहरू पनि देखियो कि जुन प्रोडक्टहरू चाहिँ आजको दिनमा नेपालबाट संसारमा मजासँग चाहिँ लान सकिने, नेपाली प्रोडक्ट चाहिँ ग्लोबल स्केलमा लान सक्ने र ग्लोबल भ्यालु चाहिँ क्रिएट गर्न सक्ने किसिमको प्रोडक्टहरू पनि त्यहाँ आयो. पक्कै पनि अब त्यो प्रोडक्टहरूलाई स्केल अप गर्नको लागि चाहिँ जुन नलेज भनौँ न, जुन माइन्डसेटले उनीहरूले स्टार्ट गरेका छन् त्यो सम्भावना छैन भनेपछि हामीले चाहिँ त्यसलाई कसरी त्यो एउटा ग्लोबलाइज हिसाबमा चाहिँ हामीले भन्छौँ नि, अब युनिकर्न को कुरा गर्छौँ, धेरै सम्भावना भएका प्रोडक्टहरू पनि देखियो त्यहाँ. युनिकर्न बन्न सक्ने प्रोडक्टहरू पनि देखियो त्यहाँ चाहिँ. त्यसले गर्दा हाम्रो भनौँ न हाम्रो तर्फबाट हेर्दाखेरि चाहिँ कसरी त्यसलाई चाहिँ अब त्यो लड अफ लाइक त्यो अनपोलिस डायमन्डहरू जस्तो चाहिँ पनि आयो त्यो होइन, त्यसलाई पोलिस गर्ने काम चाहिँ पोलिस गर्नको लागि सहयोग गर्ने काम भनौँ न.
The person could do it like 5 वर्षमा गर्नु सक्ने, हामीले अलिकति एक्सेलरेट गर्नु maybe 2 years we can help them achieve that, because of whatever हाम्रो networking, हाम्रो experience what to do legally correct, what to do like financially correct, we can.
And मैले चाहिँ नेपालमा Shark Tank आउनु लाग्छ भन्दाखेरि I was very excited, not because of the capital, right? But because of what you just said, Jun Sawa, like if you're doing a Shark Tank in Singapore or Germany or Japan, where there is a system, okay, then you just follow the system. Where there is no system, you have to know. हिले माछा किन खेतमा हुन्छ भने त्यो हिलोमा खेल्न सक्छ नि त्यो गोल्डफिस ल्यायो भनेदेखि त डेड डक इन फ्यु मिनट्स होइन
Exactly.
यु हेभ प्लेड इन द्याट हिलो फर डेकेड्स सो त्यो उसको आइडिया होला उस पोटेन्सियल होला युनिकर्न हुने होइन पोटेन्सियल होला तर त्यो हिलोमा राखिदिने बित्तिकै त्यो फात्रक फात्रक खै त के यो पनि भएन त्यहाँ यो कागज पनि आएन यो यु नो हाउ टु नेभिगेट द सिस्टम नि आई थिङ्क द्याट इज for them that is one of the greatest things
Plus give it a structure and formal sector मा ल्याउनु पर्यो सबै compliance र regulation ल्याएर informal sector त बढ्दै गइरहेछ नि अझ झन् बढ्दै त्यसलाई formal sector मा ल्याएर एउटा sustainable business एउटा चाहिँ एक किसिमले राज्यलाई रोजगारी दिने कर तिर्ने त्यो सबै compliance भइसकेपछि the economy grows.
yes
Something else that I wanted to add what Ramu was saying is that something that excited me was that हामी युवा प्लान को कुरा गर्छौं. When you watch the show, they're entrepreneurs who've come back. Videshबाट आएर they're pitching ideas, global ideas, taking Nepalese companies globally. That's their dream.
wow
So such people who've been working outside, having fancy, the top post jobs, experts, professionals have come back and are pitching ideas. So that's exciting. आइरहेछन् युवाहरू आइरहेछन् नेपालीमा लगानी
Very young people coming in.
And what
Which
is
is
nice is
exciting,
because, you know, we are in the phase of the due diligence now, in fact, so we are talking to a lot of the people who have, you know, but I may have invested or the others have invested. What you see is a common, what you're seeing is that, you know, the structuring is majorly missing.
yes
They are not very aware of the legal. They are not aware about how to formulate a company. And, you know, so that institutionalization of the business, which would take a longer time on their own, by the way, means of learning by experience, that would be much longer. By having somebody like this who could mentor you and, you know, to guide you and quickly bring it into a line, and with whatever experience we have, is something we know which could be a very big thing for a lot of the startups to reach a level.
But त्यसमा चाहिँ what I right up front I think there has to be clarity because Greenlace Bank सुरु भयो they brought 250,000 pounds I think right the initial investment that is the only money that has come from outside to establish what is now Standard Chartered Bank earning God knows how much and always we used to get from Rashtra Bank 2,50,000 pound ल्याएर हेर यति करोड रुपैयाँ लिएर गयो बिजनेस गर्ने भनेकै त्यही हो कि हामी सबैले बुझ्नु पर्यो भोलि गएर हेर उनीहरूले त हालेको थियो 40 करोड आज त 1-1 अरब रुपैयाँ बनाइसक्यो that is what you've as sharks you have seen that potential नि कसैलाई त्यो ध्यान दिएको त हैन नि you've seen the potential मैले 5 करोड हाल्छु 50 करोड बनाउँछ भनेपछि
we minor shareholders right
exactly
so
yes
I can make 5 ko 50 then the remaining goes to the rest of the people
exactly
right?
I'll give you an example. There was a young person who was trying to copyright certain things. Bichara abulai ta, you know, he doesn't know the way, he doesn't know the. He was being given a run around. And he came, he pitched, so I met him outside. And I helped him get the copyright within a week.
There we go.
You know, whether you invest or not invest is not important. ऊ महिनौ दिन कुदिरहेको गर्न नसकेको कुरा त मैले त हेल्प त गर्दै नि
exactly
and I didn't really have to go out of the way. I just put him in touch with my lawyer who did it with me.
No, that's I think it's a win-win. Okay, then that's what everybody's got to realize. नेपालमा चाहिँ मलाई कहिले डर लाग्छ भनेदेखि पैसा बनाउनु पाप हो कि जस्तो लाग्छ कि कहिलेकाहीँ being bankers as we know because we are so transparent and all जब जुन समाजमा पैसा बनाउनु पाप हो तर त्यो समाजको सबैजना धनी हुन चाहन्छ है फेरि if I think drinking is bad then I mustn't drink I cannot be drinking away and saying drinking is bad भनेर चाहिँ त्यो भन्नु त भएन so you ask any youth oh you're banker you're चोर and say and what do you want to do I want to be rich also hello if you've just badmouthed all the rich people in this country and now you want to be rich so I think this will also sort of bridge that so your investment चाहिँ सिर्फ equity थियो कि loan पनि थियो कि के थियो
most of them equity but some loans
combos
some very few loans but which were actually more on deals which are more of the CSR sort of category otherwise they were equities
no some of the people were really doing great job but it's not really a business opportunity
so if it was not scalable let's say
not scalable but they're doing good work so we said we should help them also त्यो टाइपको पनि छ
majority equity नै गर्छ
equity नै गर्छ
and equity भन्ने पनि फेरि यो बिजनेस चोर्ने आइडिया यो सबै कुरा गर्दा हामीले लगानी गर्ने भने कति हो हैन 20% maximum 30% exceptionally maybe exception
I think we've
some
gone up to
cases
50%, but
That's rare.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
like a
that's
very
very rare.
But
So you are
20, 30 is, yeah.
Either standard.
you're not a major shareholder.
Yeah.
So even in terms of the board and thing they are running, we are only there to support. As Shark Tank भनेको के हो accelerator र fast track program हो एउटा so that we can help them accelerate faster and grow the businesses faster and then of course make it profitable.
And on Shark Tank, at least we are, like Anil said earlier, we're putting our skin in the game. I mean, it's not just Gyan that we are distributing,
Exactly.
right?
Yes.
Skin and time in the game.
And a lot of the companies, I don't think so. We will even go to the board. I don't think so. We'll be an active director also.
Yeah.
We'll just be a promoter.
The main thing is the MIS. Because you put in money. It's not only that मेरो money लिएर भागला मात्र हैन. For them to get good institutionalization into their company, that MIS दिनु पर्यो भनेदेखि then if you track it, it happens. If you don't track it, it doesn't. And I was just saying, offline that one of the times I've seen startups failure or good startups which are doing well is when there's capital infusion because they're running very tight ships. अब खानै कम छ भनेदेखि एक साग खाएर भइरहेको भनेपछि अब सडनली चाहिँ you have got abundance of food भने you most probably eat so much that you get sick. हैन so मैले as a banker त्यो हेर्दाखेरि चाहिँ these are the little things पैसा त दिउँ but they're not used to that capital ni suddenly there's that influx
What to do with the capital?
What to do with the capital and त्यसपछि Scorpio किन्नु भनेर लाग्यो भने बर्बाद
Scorpio पनि दिएको छ हैन शोमा
छैन रामुले ब्याङ्क फाइनेन्स गरेन
त्यो अनिललाई मैले एउटा अघिको कुरामा के थप्न चाहेँ भने हामी मेरो पर्सनल लेभलमा हेर्दाखेरि चाहिँ जस्तो हामी आफ्नो एउटा भनौँ न होराइजनभित्र जुन बसेको र आफ्नो एउटा लर्निङ थट प्रोसेस छ त्यहाँ त जुन बिजनेसको आइडियाजहरू आयो जुन उनीहरूको त्यो भनौँ न नयाँ नयाँ जुन एउटा थ्रस्ट जुन किसिमको एउटा मोटिभेसन चाहिँ बाट हामीले पनि सिक्ने कुरा पायौँ कि त्यहाँ चाहिँ वी ह्याड अल्सो लट अफ लर्निङ हैन हामीले चाहिँ पनि उनीहरूलाई सिकाउने
हाम्रो पालो त बाँकी नै छ
हैन हाम्रो पालो वी हैव लट अफ थिङ्स टु लर्न फ्रम स्पेशल्ली all those young people के कस्तो कस्तो नयाँ नयाँ आइडियाजहरु आइराछ कसरी टेक्नोलोजीलाई ल्याएर त्यो अर्को बिग लर्निङ
some went on for hour and a half not because of the business part of it we were wanting to learn we were asking what happens how do you do this we were 1.5 hours we just question the person just to learn
it was amazing. I mean what happened was that you're just in this mode where when you see the show we shot 14 days continuously for 8 to 10 hours.
19 days. Don't
19
miss
days,
that out.
14.
Yeah. No, 19 days altogether.
5 days he wasn't there. That's okay.
19 days altogether.
19 days.
19 days.
He was in his trance.
19 days we shot continuously at the venue, 8 to 10 hours a day.
Wow.
We completed around 100 plus pitches, 120 pitches or so. And कस्तो हुन्छ भने you're out of office, you're in that setting. And when you're at work, एकरो हुन्छ क्या auto business, manufacturing, cement, steel, IT, whatever. त्यहाँ चाहिँ the whole exposure is there where you're coming agri, IT, manufacturing, clothing industry, FMCG. So it was so interesting to see what's happening in Nepal.
We got to see Nepal in a closer manner, beyond your own, realm of things that you do on a daily basis. Right? I know what animal feed over. I know all the people, most of the people in Nepal. But then, suddenly you see, oh, this is a fabric. There was a lot of talk about hemp fabric there. And wow, I mean, this is a kind of fabric I never saw. And Nepal has the potential just to lag.
So actually, to think of it also, actually, the one sum up is that, that Shark Tank was also a mental startup for the sharks. Yeah. Because you are sitting in a place where you are doing things, but like what he's saying, there are certain things which will align with your personality. Like he's thinking about hemp because maybe he's thinking of something he could do with hemp. I went with a preconceived thing that I want to be very, very careful with IT, apps and IT platforms and all of that. So I was so looking forward to all of that itself was a learning. And so you always had an alignment, like maybe somebody had a more alignment towards food or production. Like I saw there were some of us who had more production-based things. For me, it was more about apps and IT. So, you know, that alignment was also happening.
And the people coming in, like teens to 80-year-old,
17 onwards, yeah.
and
80-year-old.
Yeah.
and from Betamor
Yeah.
to Zumla.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So it's, the whole diversity, the age difference was like crazy, There were families walking in, there were husband, wife walking, there were like brother and sister walking in, and
And I ask of 10 lakhs to 250 crores.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
250 crores.
the bigger
Where
company
Ramu and I actually invested.
We
No,
wanted to
invest.
Wanted to invest.
Ritu,
We
NDA,
wanted to
NDA.
invest. We have not named the person, the company.
Oh, wow. From 10 lakhs,
250 crores.
250 crores. One company.
he's already a unicorn.
Only this thing, which company? I definitely know the company, but
No, that's
No, it'd be
amazing.
nice for you to watch.
Yeah, it will. It'll be nice for everybody to watch.
Yes,
Because,
yeah.
again, as I said, the difference is reality TV, everything is reality. You throw you in the jungle and survive, that's also reality TV. You do a dating thing, that's also reality TV. But here for the youth, as I said, the country itself is saying Arthik Rupantran, Arthik Rupantran. This is it.
This is the
Shark
starting
Tank
point.
is the starting point of that economic transformation that I see. So, of all these that you invested in, what was the biggest ticket item? You can say that in one
250
project.
crores.
No, that you actually put money in.
Oh.
5 crores, 2 crores.
in and around above 5. But no, above 5.
Above 5.
Six
crore-
was
six crore.
the biggest ticket, yeah.
Now that's to everybody. That's amazing to be able to come, to be able to pitch, to be able to have that discussion, and then say, okay, for this much percentage of your company, you're getting 6 crore rupees. Nowhere else, if you went to, I don't know, a money lender, I don't know, but nowhere else would you get that opportunity that Shark Tank is giving.
Quite a
yeah?
few crore rupee deals, yeah.
Yeah.
Quite a few.
And interesting is like,
48%.
the ask was from 1% onwards.
Oh.
So somebody would come and pitch and say, I would give you so much money for 1% of my stake.
Yeah, like
Oh,
1
you
CR,
can name
1
people.
CR, 1 CR for 3%.
Okay.
Ritu, you can't
Oh.
be saying all this.
No, I'm not saying the names. It's all in the air. Yeah.
But like, but
It's
it
only the
started from
percentages.
1% upwards.
So it was
So
good
it
to
was
see
interesting.
ambition also.
Yes. Yeah.
So there is
Yeah.
so हुन्छ नि हामी भन्छ नि you have to have that fire in the belly.
Belly,
That fire not only just to find a job for yourself, create a business to find a job for yourself, but to create a wealth creating machine
Yeah.
for the country, for everybody,
Everybody
else
else,
surrounding.
exactly.
And
A
so
lot of super smart people. I would say at least 50% was like above average. Especially the young ones, the way they presented, the way they displayed their product or pitched.
And they also showed the confidence in their product when they say 1 CR for 3% is,
Yeah.
that they know they.
Well, what was very amazing is there's so much of research that they have done already. I mean, the research has become much easier these days with a lot of these tools. But then that research, that effort, it was not just like, I got to open a shop and I need to
A
make
lot of
my
people
livelihood.
there were many cases where they refused your offer.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yes.
Oh. Okay. So they said no.
No,
For this much money, this much percentage is no good for me.
no, but we are valued higher.
Heartbreaks.
Heartbreak.
And some people can't handle rejection.
Keep going on and on.
तर hats off to the people who came and pitched, because I mean we are there Sharks, we are doing it alikata business mata we've been for years, but for them to come and just face 5 people
Yeah.
there and to pitch the idea is not easy.
No, yeah.
So I mean hats off to them. And अर्को कुरा चाहिँ अनिलले भने जस्तो एउटा चाहिँ शिफ्ट इन द प्रोसेस अफ थिङ्किङ एउटा चाहिँ मुभमेन्टै हो के यो नेपालको लागि, किनभने रियालिटी सो भनेपछि गायो नाच्यो इट्स फाइन, इट्स एन्टरटेनमेन्ट, द्याट्स ग्रेट, द्याट्स निडेड, तर बिजनेस सो प्रमोटिङ एन्टरप्रेन्योरशिप वी डोन्ट ह्याभ अ त्यो लेभलको सो इन नेपाल.
And like he said, where their skin is in the game.
Not giving ज्ञान के म एउटा प्रोजेक्ट बनाइदिन्छु तपाईँलाई हैन, एउटा म्याक्रो एक्सेल दिइदिन्छु, यो चलाउनुस्, यो त्यो हैन कि म त रोकरा दिन्छु, पैसा दिन्छु हैन.
अनि भ्यालुएसन जुन मागेको हो पाइ पनि रहेछ उनीहरूले भनेपछि मैले त अलि मेहनत गरेर 3-4 वर्ष काम गरेँ भने मैले त भ्यालुएसन पनि मैले मागेको लिनु सक्छु र त्यति मात्रै होइन पछि आएर चाहिँ अब कन्भर्सेसन के हुन्छ त होइन जहिले पनि राजनीतिको कुरा गर्ने हामी के कुरा गर्ने टेबलमा बसेर अब फ्यामिली चाहिँ कुरा गर्छ ए हेऱ्यो त शार्क ट्याङ्कमा त यति लगानी भएको छ नि यो व्यवसायले यति गरेको छ नि तिम्रो बाबु तिम्रो के भयो तिम्रो कम्पनी तिमीले पनि ग्रो गर्न सक्छ कि भनेर द्याट होल कन्भर्सेसन निड्स टु शिफ्ट जुन आर्थिक रूपान्तरणको कुराहरू आएको छ मैले चाहिँ नेपालमा बसेर मैले कम्पनी सुरु गर्ने रोजगारी सृजना गर्ने करोडपति हुने सम्भावना यहीँ छ है ल आफ्नो मेहनत समय यहीँ दिएर नेपालकै विकासमा काम गरौँ आफ्नो व्यवसायको विकासमा काम गरौँ भनेर त्यो सोले चाहिँ आई वाज one of the main motivators for me, though I was a rejected shark. I think you asked everyone. I was not on the first, right? This show is going to bring that movement. म त रिजेक्टेड शार्क हो नि आयो 2001 मा हाम्रो डाइरेक्टर साहबहरू हिमालय टिभीको 2021 sorry 2021 my numbers are bad
Thank God you were there. Otherwise the sharks are doomed.
हो नम्बर उसले भनेन भने 2021 मा आएको थियो अनि मैले सिभी सबै दिएँ पछि त छैन रिस्पोन्सै छैन अनि मैले फोन गरेँ के भयो त भने सर अलिकति तपाईँको चाहिँ मिलेन तपाईँ त फ्यामिली बिजनेस रहेछ तपाईँको आफैले केही गरेको छैन रहेछ सबै फ्यामिलीको रिजेक्ट भयो भन्छ है अनि त्यो पछि luckily the show didn't happen then after 4-5 years they wanted to do it again and luckily for me अब भाग्य भन्नु कि के भन्नु अलिकति हाम्रो परिवारमा पनि छुटेर आफ्नै व्यवसाय 2-3 वटा सुरु गरिसकेको थिए अनि फेरि त्यसले अप्लाई गरेपछि I was accepted otherwise
Look at how somebody is dealing with rejection
at least I made it right I'm on the table some people didn't get the deal
happens
So that's an amazing part. Okay? You think that it's only all of you deciding, dine no dine. It's also the other side deciding, line no line. And walking away saying, thank you, I don't want
There
it.
have been cases where they chose one shark over the other.
Yeah.
And others.
I don't like your face. I don't like your
point
face.
for the guys
we've been rejected we've been like Toby pachado acha tya हैन rejection and then a lot of things have happened we've been rejected we've been
So
not
it's not just the pitchers who get rejected, the sharks also get rejected.
Okay.
But like, you think the pitchers only get nervous. We were as nervous. There were times we were like, oh shit, I don't know anything on this subject.
Yeah.
So it
but
was
I
quite
think in our
interesting.
case it is a good cushioning because we were all taking turns anyways but if we know it's agri we would tell Anand you take this on if it's something about a certain area where somebody has got his strength we would take this on so it was better than but give it to them that they were really strong
really
about
good,
it
And I think also for all of you, it's family business till now. Okay, family can take it so far, I believe, because you have your own ideas, you have your time. It's not money. You've got enough money now, but time considering idea that I'm also now you've got these amazing people working on these ideas to make you that money. As you said, you can exit maybe in 3 years, 5 years, maybe you don't want to exit, and that it may be that 15 years down the line, the biggest revenue generator for you is the guy you invested in Shark Tank.
So I talk about reverse entrepreneurship, right? So reverse entrepreneurship means you find somebody who has that zeal, who is willing to put in the time and things like that, but may not be the most brilliant idea. You have an idea, like Saurav said, you have a dream, forget the idea. You have a dream which you've not been able to fructify. This is the best place to find such people.
Yeah.
And it's a good marriage, right?
Exactly. And it's a win-win. A win-win. But again, it comes to the soch, okay? That everybody you're not there to give daan and they're not there to just give you their pasina. They must win, you must win, and at the end,
The right of rejection is always with them.
It has to create a value.
Always. Like we cannot really say if somebody comes and asks you for a certain ask, we can't go down on the ask.
Yeah. So if
We
they
can
want a
go up
crore
on
for
the equity,
3%,
we can say 5%.
Yeah.
But we cannot go below 1 crore.
Okay.
I mean the monetary ask has to remain the same
And look at it this way, whatever money you or me or anybody invests, it's not just for to earn what banks charge you, right? You're not a money lender there.
Exactly,
You are looking at a 10x or 15x return in the next 5 years or 10 years.
Exactly.
And that's the risk and the gain that you are betting on.
Exactly. And the difference, again, people are wondering, I'm sure, bank le kina gardaina ta bhanda that there's one critical difference. if you don't know it yet. उहाँहरूले जुन पैसा लगानी गर्नुभयो त्यो उहाँहरूको आफ्नै पैसा हो. ब्याङ्कले लगानी गर्ने पैसा मेरो डिपोजिटरको पैसा हो. त्यही भएर ब्याङ्कले चाहिँ यस्तोमा लगानी गर्दैन. आफ्नो पैसाले लगानी गर्दाखेरि रिस्क लिनु सकिन्छ कि इट क्यान गो अप, इट क्यान गो डाउन. लेट्स डु इट. म त मेरो पैसा होइन नि, मेरो त डिपोजिटरको पैसा हो. सो आई आस्क अल दिस क्वेसन. स्टार्टअप हाउ मेनी इयर्स यो त्यो एज तपाईँले केही बिजनेसै गर्नुभएको रहेछ, सबै फ्यामिली बिजनेस रहेछ भनेर जस्तै त्यस्तै प्रश्नहरू आउँछन् होइन. द्याट्स वाइ समथिङ लाइक दिस वाज क्रिटिकली निडेड के. एन्ड सो द्याट्स वाइ वेन अपट्रेन्डली सेड विल यु टेक द sharks and do this, I was so excited because I said, yeah, I really want to do this because I want to know this is exactly what I had hoped this would be. Not just one of those things where it was like preordained and we all sat and you know पहिला नै 120 वटा दिएको थियो, we all decided like यो 25 वटाले दिने है भनेर अनि आयो बज गरे ल त अहिले यति भने.
Another myth is that we are prepped, right? Another myth is that we are prepped about the pitches. We have no idea.
Okay.
It is the first time that we are meeting the entrepreneur. त्यो व्यवसायलाई उद्यमीलाई हामीले त्यहाँ when he walks in through the Shark Tank door, त्यो बेला मात्रै हामीले भेटेको हुन्छ र त्यही बेला pitch first time हामीले सुनेको हुन्छ. We do not know.
Nothing.
Like that. No, nothing.
Sometimes you walk in,
You don't even get a calculator on the set.
Calculator.
No
So they
phone, no
all
calculator,
mental.
nothing.
So sometimes you walk in, the display is certain display, and you think, oh, it is clothing. But actually, when they pitch, it is not clothing.
Okay.
You see certain product, and you think, oh, yes, the rice huncha ni. Pitch gardakeri, it's a totally different product. So that was very interesting. Maximum you get is like there were times we got this much is the ask. They're going to ask you for this much. That was the most information we got.
Yeah. What is the ask? But for what percentage you have to go and do a calculation, write it on the thing and do
So
the
it's totally
calculation.
impromptu, spontaneous. First time we're hearing, and based on his presentation, we invest.
कति केसहरू त त्यो भ्यालुएसन जुन हिसाबले प्रपोज गरेका छन् उनीहरूले हामीलाई क्यालकुलेसन कसरी भ्यालुएसन निकाल्यो कसरी गर्यो त्यो
odd
नम्बर्सहरू कस्तो कस्तो भ्यालुएसन लिएर
17 lakh, 75,000 or something for 8% or something like that. Then you're like,
स्कुल पछि जिन्दगीमा त्यति हिसाब गरेको छैन, हिसाब गर्दै लेखेको करोडौँ माग्छ होइन, लाखौँ.
why they want to make our life so difficult?
We had a अलिकति between the sharks, most of the business 40-50 करोड 20-30 करोड गरौँला भनेर त्यहाँ त करोडौँ भन्दा कम माग्ने कोही
20-30 लाख not करोड.
20-30 लाख 20-30 लाख माग्ला 20-30 लाखसम्म भयो भने हामी गर्ने.
Gabby and I had a discussion and we think, 5-10 लाख को कुरा होला each year's को. एक जना आउँछ 1 करोड, अर्को आउँछ त 6 करोड, अर्को आउँछ 5 करोड.
So it was nothing less than crores.
Okay.
So which is good.
अर्को इम्पोर्टेन्ट पार्ट चाहिँ तपाईँले हेर्नुभयो भने खास रेभेन्यू नभएको खासै नभएको कम्पनीहरू पनि जुन किसिमको भ्यालु मागिरहेछन् नि त्यो माग्ने गट्स पनि त गजब हो नि त हैन. सो दे बिलिभ इन देयर बिजनेस. उनीहरूलाई त्यो जुन अघि हामीले कुरा गरिरहेको थियौँ नि फेयर एकदम फर्स्ट जुन छ
रेभेन्यू कम्पनी
प्री रेभेन्यू कम्पनीहरूको पनि भ्यालुएसन तपाईँको एउटा कुनै कम्पनी चाहिँ कमसेकम पेड क्यापिटल 10 कति 25 लाखको कम्पनीको चाहिँ 25 करोडको भ्यालुएसन.
Orga interesting was the marketing part.
त्यो चाहिँ माग्न सक्नु पनि त गट्स हो नि त.
Oh yes,
हैन
of course.
Very good.
Yes.
Marketing
Yeah.
tool is good.
And marketing पनि interesting थियो कि तपाईले कसरी मार्केटिङ TikTok बाट Facebook बाट. And then actually they have quite a nice following. Maybe
Yeah, that was
2,000 following, but they have a very nice.
I looked at.
Yeah.
Kati followers, sir? How many videos have you created? How many, or let's say, how many people have downloaded your app? This has been a new currency that you look at.
Yeah.
अर्को कुरा के हो भने एउटा बिजनेस आइडिया भने त्यहाँ लगानी मात्रै लिन आउने होइन क्या. तपाईले नेशनल टिभी प्लेटफर्म जुन चाहिँ 60 भन्दा बढी देशमा तपाईको यो प्रसारण भइराछ, तपाई लगानी नभए पनि त्यहाँ आएर मार्केटिङको लागि तपाईको कम्पनीको पिच गर्नु न, लगानी चाहिँदैन भन्नु पनि ठिकै छ नि.
कति कम्पनीहरू त खास त्यहाँ मार्केटिङको लागि मात्र पनि आएको देखियो हैन, किनभने दे वर आस्किङ सो मच अफ भ्यालुएसन ताकि त्यो डिल नहोस्.
Oh, I mean, there were companies which came in with so that deal doesn't happen, but they are there.
So that's an excellent opportunity for marketing.
Yeah. That itself is also foresight, you know.
I think and that's happening around the world also, by the way, because people come only for the pitching part of it to get publicity.
But then you've got to put in that effort.
Yeah, and also you have to put in that effort, and for them to be aware that they can do this marketing here, and you will get this kind of an exposure is also a good thing.
So
So how many were there? Like over 120, right?
almost
We did
120.
120, yes.
120.
In an, above 30%. Manu.
Oh, was it more?
No, 30%.
Wow.
30%.
Ritu and Kavita have different numbers now.
No, I know the exact number. I'm not just saying it. That's it. Because I was just looking at his sheet.
Ritu, you are adding on the rejections also.
I'm adding the rejections also.
Where they rejected you.
Yeah.
You know?
she's been calling them even now.
Some people can't handle rejection.
Right.
No, but that's the business acumen in both sides. You know, you see some opportunity, it doesn't happen. It's very difficult to let go.
Yeah.
That's why you guys are sharks, no? And no one chhod diya dekhi tha, you know.
And I think when you don't get something, you want it even more,
More,
right?
exactly.
You
Yes.
know, when people got rejected, it was still wow.
Yeah.
This guy knows his stuff, you know.
त्यसपछि अझ त्यो टेम्पटेसन जुन हुन्छ नि ओहो यो त
यो त अब
एकदम
चाहियै
मिसिङ
चाहियो।
पिसै हो जस्तो लाग्यो
And he knows his numbers, he knows his stuff. He's not budging, you know, which is nice.
Anyway,
Okay.
it was an amazing experience.
It was an amazing experience. I think in those 19 days, there was not a day of boredom actually. It was really nice.
You are learning experience.
And I think from my point of view, it's a catalyst event. Okay, it's not this is it. It's based on now because of this, Nepal, there will be other forums which will come forward like this, and I think big groups like yours will realize, wait a minute, this is not just for a TV show. These guys have got great investment opportunities. These guys are going to be churning revenue. These guys are going to be churning volume and getting into new sectors. We've missed out. You know. Why don't we? It's like the cricket league. Those people who initially bought the teams, they're like, oh, now the valuation of the teams have gone through the roof. Everyone's saying, why didn't we buy a team? You know, so I think that is good. That's what's going to happen over here.
TV मा आएर sharks लाई pitch गर्नुपर्ने भनेको छैन.
China, exactly.
These business people will look out for startups, look out for businesses and invest.
That's
Actually,
what
I'm
I
getting
mean.
Or vice
messages.
versa.
Yeah,
I get messages now personally on my my Instas and all of that. That would you be in also LinkedIn. That would you be interested to invest if he came and pitched to you directly and all of that? It's like, yeah, sure. So at least that's putting the seed there somewhere.
And they will also know that even other business people are approachable.
Yeah.
No, people still, the younger people, they get scared to watch.
But what I also hope through this program is how we started out saying कि पैसा कमाउनु नै पाप हो जस्तो जुन mentality छ, and then those higher ups that you talked about. I hope that the younger population and who kind of get influenced by, we put that kind of pressure onto them to compel them to change their mindset.
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, that's inevitable, but sooner the better.
Yeah, exactly. I think so because, as we said, lots of shows are required. Entertainment shows are required. All sorts of shows. But you say missing, okay? There was no money show because we thought paisa ko kura garna nahi.
I mean, you think we five would have gone in for an entertainment show?
Exactly. Yeah.
I have to ask Anil. I have to ask you something. Eh?
Yeah.
When the sharks were like shark reveal, who are going to be the sharks, all that, social media ma, I don't know whether you read any of the comments. Your name was one of the most popular ones.
Yeah. Really?
Yeah. I don't know whether you.
That's why we're doing this show.
Did you go to so did you go through the comments?
Yeah, I did.
Your name is to keep on popping. Anil Shah.
But this is the difference, okay? And people had approached Timi Shark Pune, yo garne, tyo garne, and I said, look, again, everyone, there's a brand for everything. I'm a professional. I'm a banker. I'm not you guys. You have that entrepreneurial, that's what you need to be a shark. म त्यहाँ गएर ब्याङ्क जस्तो नै स्प्रेड गरेर बस्ने हो भनेदेखि त बिचाराले केले पनि पैसा पाउँदैन म त यहाँलाई पनि डिस्पेड गरिदिन्छु गर्ने होइन है
ड्यू डिलिजेन्स 2 महिना
एक्ज्याक्टली 3 वर्षको ब्यालेन्स सिटमा प्रफिट देखाउनुस् त भर्खर सुरु गरेर आछु कहाँबाट देखाउने भनेर सो देयर इज अ स्किल सेट द्याट कम्स इन सो नाउ एज वी कम टु द इन्ट्रेस्टिङ पार्ट सम of our viewers have asked some questions, so I'd like to ask you those questions as well. Let's start with Saurav ji. Okay. How do you define legacy business and what do you want yours to be remembered for?
Legacy business भने सर्वप्रथम त एउटा कन्टिन्युटी दिने हो र कन्टिन्युटी दिन सँगसँगै त्यसलाई चाहिँ अझै विस्तार गरेर अझै नयाँ लेभल नेक्स्ट लेभलमा ल्याएर कन्सोलिडेट बिजनेसेस द्याट डोन्ट डु वेल एड अन न्यू बिजनेसेस according to the times, as we go on to the future, you'll be tech savvy, AI integration, newer systems that will create legacy going forward. Legacy past ho, going forward, you need to carry on the legacy by consolidating, investing in new businesses, and keeping up with the times with the new systems and adopting technology. So that's something that legacy businesses have to do. Generally, on an average, 3 generations, some business lasts, and in the 3rd generation, everything collapses. So I think
Your
pure
generation.
continuity, touch wood,
Yeah.
continuity. So touch wood, we're giving continuity to grow business, invest more, diversify for create more jobs and for a bigger and brighter future.
Absolutely. So you've been in the Shark Tank and all. Any pitch that mentions something which immediately puts you off and says, this is a pass for me, what would that be? Any person, the pitch, anything?
There was one in particular where the person was full of himself,
Oh.
me,
Oh.
and wouldn't even let us speak. So that
Okay.
was already a no, big no for us. So I think that was
Okay.
a bad experience.
Yeah, there's confidence and then there's
Arrogance.
complete
Overconfidence.
exactly
And
arrogance.
not we, I, me.
Not my team, not who. That's all. It's all me. Okay, that's good. That's yeah. For me, also very similar. You can only use one number to judge whether a Nepali startup is healthy. Is it revenue, or what would it be? Revenue, volumes, future potential. What would it be?
Future potential, but backed by sound numbers, statistics, and a business plan.
Okay. So not just a dream, but a plan to make it.
The plan to make it work, the market size, a little bit of due diligence with statistics and numbers, defining a business plan and a potential market for growth.
Okay. How do you differentiate between a trend and a fundamental shift in any sector or business? Whether it's just a short-term trend or it's a shift, like EV. Is it a trend or is it a shift? Digital cameras came. Everyone thought it was a trend. It killed everything else. It's now there's no film camera. So what would you say?
Putting it that way, I think a trend is something that a trend could be a shift which is backed without proper market or पूर्वाधार छैन भन्यो भने चाहिँ it becomes a trend. Because the ecosystem, पूर्वाधार, infrastructure सबै भयो भने चाहिँ it continues on and becomes a shift. But a trend is just it's building a castle in the air. It comes and goes. जग चाहिँ बलियो हुँदैन.
So you need to back up the infrastructure, whatever, to make it sustainable.
Whether it's a product, service.
Yeah. What was being said, institutionalization. It cannot be just one individual. Okay, finally, let's say you've got 5 minutes in front of the government to make your pitch. You can change one policy to fast-track Nepal's startup scene. What would you say? What would that pitch be?
I think there's already enough policies, enough excellent policies. So त्यसलाई चाहिँ कागजबाट कार्यान्वयनमा ल्याउनु पर्यो, one window policy हुनु पर्यो, efficiency हुनु पर्यो र भएकै नीति नियमको कार्यान्वयन मात्रै भयो भने पनि we would do wonders.
Oh, wonderful. I agree. Whether from our constitution downwards, on paper that we are one of the best. Implementation is, I think, where we are a bit lacking. And that's why I said Shark Tank is so great, because it's not only giving gyan and saying, "Tamaile yo garnu bhayo bhane ramro huncha hai, garnus bhanera." It's saying, "La, here's the money, now let's get it, do it together and move forward." Thanks. That's your 5 questions.
Awesome.
So, what do they want to know from you? So, remittance or tourism, which makes more money today, and how do you see the future?
Remittance, of course, यो इमिग्रेसन भनेको एउटा अनगोइङ भइरहेको छ तपाईँको, खालि त्यसको तरिका मात्र फरक हुन्छ जस्तो लाग्छ. आजको दिनमा एउटा फिजिकल माइग्रेसन छ भने एउटा नलेज माइग्रेसन मात्रले पनि काम गरिराखेको छ. त्यसले गर्दाखेरि चाहिँ लङ टर्ममा the remittance will grow. Probably the amount of remittance will bigger than the tourism. But फेरि एउटा टाइम पछि चाहिँ I think tourism will pick up more than the
remittance. Yeah, I agree. Short term मा चाहिँ जति हामीले सपना देखे पनि remittance ले नै धान्नु पर्छ. As was said before, त्यो remittance को आको पैसालाई राम्ररी सदुपयोग गर्न सक्यौं भनेदेखि कोरिया पनि after the world war It was Germany गएर पैसा पठाएर नै कोरिया
Exactly,
बनेको हो नि.
exactly.
They were
So-
worse off. At least we haven't been bombed out of existence.
So
like
short
they were.
term remittance तर long term चाहिँ tourism
Yeah.
prospect हो.
And again it comes नेतृत्वले राम्ररी गाइड गर्यो भने त्यो हुने हो, नत्र भनेदेखि चाहिँ फेरि सबै त्यही नै हुन्छ. So when reviewing a pitch in your model, what were the metrics or models that instantly caught your attention and said, I don't want to miss this opportunity?
So basically I looked दुईटा कुरा चाहिँ एउटा चाहिँ त्यो whether he is really pitching from his heart or not, एउटा त्यो र अर्को चाहिँ whether that has the immense potential to grow. दुईटा र अर्को चाहिँ third and very important, whether that is going to make the positive change or impact in the society.
Okay. Yeah.
I
think scalability also होइन त्यो
Yep.
एउटा अर्को उसमा पनि भन्दै थियो हामीलाई चाहिँ सबैले यो सानो 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 भन्दाखेरि हाम्रो सोचै सानो भइसकेको छ कि हामी सानो होइन ग्लोबल हौँ नि त हामी चाहिँ हाम्रो जस्ट लाइक छुर्पी हिमालयन चुज भनेर लगेर अमेरिकाभरि कुकुरले त्यही छुर्पी खाएर नाउ इज अनदर थिङ रेमिटेन्स बसेर यस्तो प्रब्लम रहेछ भनेर सडनली ऊ गर्यो त्यो बेलामा आइएम स्योर पिपल वर सेङ वाट इज दिस इज अ बिजनेस के हो यो ऊ भनेको चाहिँ होइन क्या हुन्डी गर्न लाग्नु भएको हो भनेर भन्यो होला बट टुडे it is a leading move. Yeah. Same question, last question as to Saurav ji. So you have 5 minutes in front of the government. What sort of policy would you say is required at this point of time to get, why I say startups is, and I think they're saying is, Nepali युवा नेपालमै बस्ने हो भनेदेखि अब जागिर खाएर मात्रै बस्दैन के. The chances are much better if they're entrepreneurs themselves, if they're doing whatever it is, online business होस्, company होस्, and 10 लाखको माग होस् या 250 करोडको होस्, त्यो भयो भने उनीहरू बस्छन् नत्र बस्दैन. So what would you say to the government?
I think there has to be proper execution scorecard.
Okay.
Execution of the scorecard. हामी कहाँ पोलिसिजहरू त सबै चिज छ, खालि एक्जिक्युसनमा जुन समस्या छ नि त्यो एक्जिक्युसन चाहिँ अन टाइम चाहिँ हुन सक्यो भने I think a lot of things can be changed.
Okay, wonderful. All right, now to Ritu ji. A question I'm sure that's being in the industry, haunting you at night and in the daytime as well. Should Nepal go hybrid first or leap directly into full EV adoption, and why?
So I think there's no question of whether me wondering whether it should go into hybrid first. It has already gone the EV way. So what I feel is that, I think with my involvement in the NIMA right now, I'm facing this question every day, where people have taught me a very beautiful word about EV. It's called the glamorous cars are the EVs, right? So we talk a lot about them more. And I think, but what is happening is we've been talking about the government's policy level thing. What is happening is we are actually somehow overlooking the positives of, or we have not even begun studying about what is a hybrid, how it compares to an EV, how it compares to an ICE. There's a way of, evaluating the whole system. And there's never, around the world, if you see, there's never an only EV country or only ICE country. There's so many options available and they all have their own strengths. And my sincere thought at this point of time is I hope that the government will look at the positives of hybrid. It's a beautiful technology. At the same time, of the ICE, of how, because we have a very difficult terrain. So how do we want to balance this whole thing out? And how do we want to, with what framework do we want to bring in new technologies and not just bring it and dump it here? So looking at that, I think I can only hope for
a mix,
better mix of studying the whole platform very well and have a good mix applicable to the correct terrain for the correct purpose.
Okay, since you are Toyota and Toyota is still the premier brand that is looked up to in Nepal, is Toyota's EV push slower by design, or did they miss the boat, or is it a strategic
So I think it is a very strategic move because what I feel is like, that the Toyota is #1 in the world even today. And so I think it's because how our country is shifted towards EV, we are, as the local distributors, we are in a limbo because we don't know how to cope with this. Because our parent company believes that a hybrid, which does not need an external charging, external infrastructure, this is the best option. You save fuel, you don't need external infrastructure. At the same time, you have a trained manpower for
Yeah.
it, you have the spare parts for it. Whereas for the EV, like we are going to get our EVs, but before they give us a commitment on the EV, they are making sure that we have a technical team who is super sound, because doing a wrong fix to the battery can, one, kill you,
Yes. It can
because
explode.
we can't do this tank tung jo hamro garage ma gaera jहाँ पनि हुन्थ्यो local garage मा अब त्यो मिल्दैन. It has to go to a proper person who knows how to fix that battery. So looking at that, yes, we are a little behind looking at our country's demographics. But the thing is, around the world, Toyota is still number one.
Absolutely. And in hybrid, it's moving very
Hybrid
fast.
is taking over, in fact,
So in Nepal, both of you are in the auto sector. इन्डिया नै गएर कुनै मोटर हेऱ्यो, त्यसको भाउ बुझ्यो, अनि यहाँ आएर त्यसकै भाउ बुझ्दाखेरि चाहिँ यति बढी. सो त्यो त्यति बढी भएको कि नाफा यति खानुभयो हो यहाँले, कि किन हो यति थुप्रो ट्याक्स छ कि 3 गुणा बढी इन्डियाबाट? जापान सापानको त कुरै छोडिदिउँ न, इन्डियाबाट त गुडेर नै आउने हो त्यो मोटर, किन यति बढी हुन्छ? What is this tax thing?
So म तपाईँलाई एउटा मात्रै भन्छु भने our tax on the 3,000 and above is 348%.
So 100 rupees भयो भनेदेखि 348 rupees tax गरेर 448 rupees तिर्नुपर्छ हामीले.
Yes.
Okay.
So त्यो हाम्रोमा आइरह होइन, कहीँ अरू गइरहेछ.
हैन, अब सरकार चलाउनलाई पनि त चाहियो.
चाहियो.
त्यही भएर पनि त अलिकति त्यो चाहिँ हुनु पर्यो जस्तो छ.
And we are happy to contribute, है?
Absolutely. Because at the end, it's the customer who's contributing. But the thing that amazes me is we are a very poor country, listed and this, that and all. But even with 348%, government-सँग पनि यही कुरा गर्दाखेरि मोटर किने छन् नि त भनेर भन्छन् हैन त्यो.
No, but त्यो हाम्रो हेऱ्यो भने त that is a policy shift. Why is EV's adoption is so strong? When you have a 28% versus a 348%, where do you think you will go?
Yeah. Now, to the Shark Tank question, what do you think is the biggest mistake Nepali startups make in branding?
So I think, we had certain people who came to our show who put their products, stood there, and there was not a name anywhere. They had not given a name. So actually, one of the sharks asked him a question, do you have a name? He said, yes, I have a name. He said, why do you have a name? Your products don't have a name.
Okay.
So I think we are at that level right now. So, but yes, I think with the younger generation, they would be much more aware that, you need to have a brand name, you need to have a great name, you need to have a very adaptable name, which, it will be easy for everybody to say. So there is hope. And, but yes, I think we've come a long way, but there is a lot to do.
Yeah. And I agree, because I think even in my generation or generation before, people didn't realize the value of the brand, and now it's all the brand. It's what is the brand, and that's what pulls your customers, keeps your customers. In the past, the product rammer sa bhayalcha ni, peanut is a peanut, but no, it's not. It's a planter's peanut. When you're being charged 5 times more than a peanut that you're buying off of the road, because it's a planter's peanut when it's thick rao. So again, the same question. You have 5 minutes in front of the government. What would you say would be policy change?
I think you've heard it enough, but I would just say it in a very different way that, when one, of course, is an idea without execution is but a hallucination. And that is exactly what our government is doing. We are living in a hallucination where we make a lot of papers, but nothing gets executed. And or at least the execution is so poor and so menial that actually it has no impact or no outcome. So I think we need to be really focusing on a small plan with a large execution. And at the same time, we need a lot of policy stability in everything that we do.
No, and I think also this non-execution is because there's no accountability. Even the national budget now, the budget has come again. It's a huge budget. It's wonderful. Everyone loves it and this, that and all. But as I was a CEO of a bank, whenever I presented the budget, it started off with, मेरो last year को budget चाहिँ यो थियो, deposit यति भनेको थियो, यति गर्नु सक्यो, बढी भए किन भयो, कम भए किन भयो. Every line, 1/3 of my presentation was what happened last year. And then learning from that, this is this year's budget and this is how I'm going to implement it. If I wasn't accountable for the budget last year, every year I would say I'll double the profit. Actually, double half भयो अरे. कोहीले पनि नसोध्ने भनेदेखि त next year पनि double गर्ने भन्ने हुन्थ्यो. This is where it comes. Okay? There has to be some accountability for execution. I truly believe this. Anand ji, biggest competitive advantage in agribusiness, product or price, and why? Yeah.
I mean, we have this typical, even as Shark Tank, we notice that everybody comes to talk about "Ma sasto kasari becham." So I cannot compete because, but you have a small market, you have a niche market. Why do you want to sell cheap? Give a good product. I mean, in food, the biggest advantage that any country has in terms of agriculture is the freshness. So if you have something which is grown in Nepal, no matter where it comes from, it's going to be fresher.
Yeah.
And fresh is nice, right?
Yeah.
So I think price. Price as in premium.
Yeah. And I was just in Delhi, and we asked some Nepalese who live in Delhi who is staying with, and they said, "What weed do you like?" He said, "Will you really want me to ask you?" He said, "Yes." He said, "Malai kurilo ल्याइदेऊ, आलु ल्याइदेऊ, साग ल्याइदेऊ." Why? Because स्वादै फरक हुन्छ. I said, आलुको पनि स्वाद फरक हुन्छ. This is
what.
Now the question is, if we can get that same thing to the Saudi sheikhs and the Kuwaitis and the things, I always say the largest foreign currency account holders in Nepal should be farmers, because that's where the export should happen. That we have that uniqueness. So 150 million rupees plant. What percentage of that was self-funded?
150 million rupees plant. Where do you get that from? About 30%.
30%.
Yeah.
That's great. That is great. Okay. At the current economy and the weight of doing business, capex is very heavy. Capex business is very heavy. Is there necessary risk, or is it a capital trap for capex heavy businesses?
Depends. Depends on what business are you doing. I mean, if it's local raw material based, capex is necessary, and sometimes capex is important for the infrastructure as well. So I don't think there is a choice between capex and, depending on project specific, capex is required. Don't over capitalize. That is the only thing I would like to add.
No. Another question is fertilizer industry. We keep importing fertilizer. Farmers say we don't get fertilizer in enough time, this, that, and all. Capex industry, very heavy, whatever, for setting up a fertilizer. Is it a good idea to have a fertilizer industry in Nepal?
See, fertilizer industry are large industries which have raw materials which are not available in Nepal. Okay. Let's say naphtha and shale gas and all that stuff. And why do you want to put up a fertilizer industry when the fertilizer industry globally is not so profitable? And there's no dearth of supply. It is our own working capital mismanagement that we don't get fertilizer on time. So just because you cannot do something out of your own inefficiency, you create another infrastructure. Yeah. We have a few already, and there's no need to create another one.
And I think looking at Nepal's structure, I think it'll have to be a government-run thing, because
No,
no
so
privatists can get in.
I was
Yeah.
part of a study that happened 5-6 years ago between the investment board and planning commission, and that's where even at the start of the project we were talking about viability gap funding. So
why do you go forward? Exactly. And I've actually never thought of this that way. And that I also thought fertilizer industry and all that, but it's our inefficiency we're not getting fertilizer. It's not because there's a shortage of fertilizer in the world or anything of the sort. It's our whole procurement process and that whole thing that goes through. Again, the same question. 5 minutes with the government. What would you suggest?
2 things. Wouldn't take more than 2 minutes.
Yes.
1, keep things very, very simple. 2, don't be greedy on the taxes which you are not getting already.
Okay. Yes. Increase the net, not the rate. That's I don't know how many times all of us have said this, but for some reason people don't believe that. You must increase the net, not the rate.
Yeah, shortcuts.
Yeah.
I mean, are a habit of, like you said, we prepare a budget on an Excel sheet. So that's the outcome.
Okay. Now you said, coming to you, the Scorpio man. You said you're going into EVs. Mahindra is going into EVs and the thing. In your idea, you said Mahindra has a touch point every 300 thing. What should be the touch points for EVs?
Okay, we are going to be launching next month, but we've already set up 30 charging stations.
Okay.
We have 30 on the way. I think before
Are
launch,
30 all inside the ring road, or
no, it's all over Nepal.
Okay.
It's all over Nepal.
No, just clarify.
All over Nepal, and 30 coming in. I think none of the other manufacturers or the distributors have set up that kind of a charging station before they've launched a product.
Okay.
Second, like Ritu was saying, in terms of battery handling, the batteries are, the lithium-ion batteries are highly flammable.
Mm.
So even while you're changing the battery, for example, like if something happens, you actually need a battery pit to extinguish the fire.
Okay.
Do you think anybody has it?
No.
No.
It's
But
very
we are already
dangerous. Yeah.
making
Oh.
it. The room to change the batteries,
Okay.
things like that. That's why we are going to be slightly more different.
Okay.
The tech keeps on changing. Tech might be superior in this one or that one. But in terms of sturdiness, in terms of the backup, there will be a lot of touch points.
Yeah. So is it just from my knowledge? Is it a SUV? Is it a passenger car?
It's
What
got
is
the
it?
highest clearance. It's 207.
Okay.
It feels like SUV, but a very sleek kind of SUV.
Okay. Wow. All right. So, second question, a quick pitch. A 23-year-old in Biratnagar has built a solar-powered EV charger. Portable, rooftop compatible, battery backed. He wants 5 million rupees to deploy 50 across the nation. Are you in or out?
Definitely, and there's 100% in.
Okay.
Everything sounds correct.
If the technology
Yes,
works.
it works, yeah.
Absolutely. So, you've run education institutions. Do degrees matter anymore?
Not really. I don't think so. The expertise is like there's so much information, like online information, online courses. People are doing variety of stuff. So what you specialize on, especially in terms of business, doesn't work all the time.
Okay.
There could be somebody like just
With entrepreneurs, Anjali Manuel just there, I think, and a lot of you did that. You became entrepreneurs, then you said, let me hone in my skills and get some education. I have very few who have done MBAs and said, I'm a great entrepreneur because of my MBA degree. MBA turns out professionals like me. That entrepreneurial to spark is a different kettle of fish, just like
I didn't study business also. I'm a science student.
But I do differ a little bit. What I feel is when you have an education, you might not use it for the entrepreneurship, but that education is very important.
Helps.
And I think you keep having people drop this one-liner about Bill Gates, that he was a dropout.
No.
College dropout. He was a Harvard college dropout.
Exactly.
That's
yes.
rare.
But he got there.
Yeah.
That's rare.
I think it's such a cliche,
Ramule अघि भनेको थियो नि, once you start seeing the gap between the selling price and the purchase price, that's the addiction one has to get into.
Yes.
That's the entrepreneur's birth.
That's the entrepreneur's birth. Exactly. Yes. And when you see you're working in a restaurant, a banker comes and eats there every day, and you see the opportunity and take it forward and make one of the biggest businesses that Nepal has. So in Nepal today, if you had to shut down one business vertical, which one would it be?
For me?
Yeah.
Difficult one. Because most of the business that was not successful is already shut down.
All right.
On my phone, I have a list of, I have a folder called failures,
Oh,
and that's in double digit.
okay.
That's just to remind me I'm not that smart.
All right.
And
also to remind you, exactly, yeah, and keep persevering. That's the where the smartness comes in.
That part is already there. But
you also have a list of great restaurants in different cities, I think.
I do.
Yeah.
You're traveling anyway.
Exactly. I know that. Yes.
But like current, I think I've downsized to like a certain, mostly my own vertical. Like, if I'm in the auto business, used car, financing, banking, insurance, warehousing, logistics, that kind of thing, then certain diversification into hospitality, things like that. So it's more or less balanced, and I don't want to extend it too much.
Wonderful. That's great. Same question, last question. 5 minutes, Nepal government, one suggestion.
Okay. One suggestion would be there's too many constant policy changes. Sometimes it hits you out of nowhere. A person changes, there's a new policy. So we have to go a little long term. We want to promote a certain kind of industry, certain thing. It should be there for a while. If you want to promote manufacturing, what kind of manufacturing? You make a policy where, of course, government will lose certain revenue for some time if you're trying to, bring up your home industries. But they would make a policy, and next day it's totally reverse.
And हाम्रो पोलिटिकल इन्स्टेबिलिटी छ अनि कहाँबाट पोलिसी स्टेबिलिटी हुन्छ भन्छ म भन्छु धेरै पर नहेर्नुहोस् श्रीलङ्का र बङ्गलादेशमा जति पोलिटिकल इन्स्टेबिलिटी भयो के भयो होइन मान्छेहरू भागेर नै जानु पर्यो त्यही पनि द पोलिसिज फर द प्राइभेट सेक्टर कन्टिन्युज वेदर इज बिन श्रीलङ्का or वेदर त्यत्रो मान्छे उत्रियो के गर्यो मान्छे हेलिकप्टरमा भाग्यो बट स्टिल गार्मेन्ट फ्याक्ट्रिज आर देयर श्रिम्प एक्सपोर्ट इज देयर एभ्रिथिङ इज स्टिल ह्यापनिङ द्याट इज स्टिल गोइङ अन हाम्रो त केही पनि हुनै पर्दैन त्यसै पनि पोलिसी चेन्ज भइदिन्छ होइन अब त्यो कहिलेकाहीँ हुन्छ भनेर सब के गरिदिन्छ त्यो हुँदैन अनि त्यसपछि हुँदैन भन्दाखेरि चाहिँ हुन्छ सो थ्याङ्क यू भेरी मच रियलमीको रियल क्वेसन्सलाई आन्सर गरिदिनु भएको आई वान्ट टु आस्क यू वान फाइनल थिङ बिफोर वी ऱ्याप अप What was your biggest learning from Shark Tank? Your personal biggest learning? Ritu ma'am, start from you.
The personal biggest learning is that we have a lot to learn. And we have a lot to learn from a lot of people who are here in this country. And keeping my mind open and actually, I mean, the fact that we went in was with a very open mind. But I think the learning was that there's a lot to be done and there's a lot we can learn from the people around us.
Okay, wonderful. Especially the young people around us. Okay.
To me, it was a realization that what I understand of tech and what exactly is there out, I know nothing about it. And I felt that I need to collaborate with these younger guys more so that I'm abreast with the happening around and the possibilities that could come around in the next, not even 10 years, 2-3 years. The kind of changes that the world is expecting. So I need to get younger.
Okay.
You know, my learning was how much disconnected we are with the young youth in Sani. Currently, the Gen Z and their ideas, their way of thinking, you know, and we don't get to interact so much outside, you know, like they wouldn't start talking about business. If you meet them, they will like not be connected with you so much. And when you go there, it's a totally different breed. You know, the way they think, super smart ideas, you know.
Yeah.
And we were not at all aware of those things, you know. So that was a big learning for me.
Okay.
Huge.
Wow.
सो मलाई चाहिँ के लाग्यो भने हजुरको त्यो कहिलेकाहीँ हामी डिल गर्छौँ होइन जुन टाइम हामीले कन्ज्युम गर्छौँ लड अफ लाइक ड्यु डिलिजेन्स 2 महिना 3 महिना हुन्छ तर त्यो सार्क ट्याङ्कभित्र बस्दाखेरिको जुन डिसिजन मेकिङ प्रोसेस वाज समथिङ भेरी इन्ट्रेस्टिङ युनिक र एकदम सेल्फ भ्यालिडेटिङ जस्तो पनि लाग्यो त्यो कुनै चिजमा इन्भेस्टमेन्ट गर्नु छ भने कति कनेक्ट हुन्छ किनभने त्यो प्री माइन्डसेटबाट नगइराखेको हिसाबमा पनि कुनै यस्तो बिजनेसहरू यति कनेक्ट हुँदो रहेछ त्यो डिसिजन मेकिङ प्रोसेस वाज समथिङ डिफ्रेन्ट एउटा त्यो र अनि अर्को चाहिँ हामीले मैले हेर्दाखेरि चाहिँ आफ्नो इन्डस्ट्रीभन्दा बाहिरको चिजलाई चाहिँ सिक्ने मौका पाउँदैन नि त चाहिँ आई थिङ्क द बिगेस्ट लर्निङ वाज टु लर्न फ्रम द डिफ्रेन्ट इन्डस्ट्रिज द होल नयाँ सेट अफ जुन यङ एन्टरप्रेनर्सहरूको चाहिँ कसरी उनीहरूले त्यो बिजनेसलाई हेर्छन् र त्यसलाई आफूले कसरी हेरिरहेको छ भन्ने कुरा त्यो एउटा लर्निङ चाहिँ
एउटा चाहिँ नेपालको युवाहरू सबै नेपाल छोडेर गए नेपालको भविष्य अब उज्यालो छैन अँध्यारो नै छ भन्ने छौँ जुन चाहिँ 122 pitches that you saw, the almost 40 people who actually got investments from you over whatever 40 crore rupees that was invested by you. What is your perception now as you walk away from Shark Tank for this season of Nepali youth? Yes, all of it, everybody.
त्यो हामीले 120 वटा इन्भेस्टमेन्ट पिचहरू हेरिरहँदाखेरि चाहिँ मलाई लाग्छ ओभर 50% चाहिँ सबै बाहिरबाट रिटर्निजहरू छ कि युएस रिटर्निज युके रिटर्निज आई मिन बाहिर बसेर काम गरेर दे जस्ट वान्टेड टु डु समथिङ इन नेपाल त्यसले गर्दाखेरि चाहिँ यो एउटा मोमेन्टमले मलाई के लाग्छ भने धेरै नेपालीहरू जोसँग स्किल सेट छ बाहिर जोसँग एक्सपोजर छ उनीहरू चाहिँ नेपालमा आएर चाहिँ नयाँ भेन्चर सुरु गर्छन् जस्तो लाग्छ
वाउ
So actually there were two sides of it that, that what Raman's saying is that, one was this very enlightening side because they've had the exposure. They've been in the jobs and they've learned and they know what they want to do. So they were the ones, which I think everybody was vying for and everybody knew that you wanted it. And they were the ones who were rejecting also because they knew what they wanted.
Yeah.
Then there was another side where, people had not even branded their products.
Yeah.
So that was another side of it. So I think, but this one Shark Tank is going to bring in that synergy of learning for us, for those people, for these ones who did not do it so well, and the ones who knew what they did well. And maybe for the next time, the quality would only increase and may become much better.
Okay.
I think for now, I would like to, I mean, what I have been thinking to my, I mean, debating within myself is that we have so many people. I mean, we talk about 6 to 10 million people who are outside Nepal, and, you know, every country we go to, we meet Nepalese. Isn't that a great opportunity to be global? I mean, I see that what can I do with them uh, sitting in Nepal or anywhere in the, but trying to cater to the world through them. It's like deploying your army globally, right? So I see that as an opportunity. I don't have an answer, but I'm still kind of pensive about it. How do I?
Absolutely. And in food products especially, you know, I met this gentleman in the UK who does food products, Nepali food products in God knows how many countries. He, you know, exports food products, and he said exactly the same thing. पहिला नेपाली नै थिएन, नेपाली खाना कसले खान्थ्यो? अब त जहाँ गए पनि नेपाली छ, उसलाई त खानु पर्यो नि. Whatever it is, he wants some Nepali. सुकुटी होस् या गुन्द्रुक होस् या के छ त्यो छ भनेदेखि म लिन्छु. क्वालिटीको हो.
Dal bhat and saag in
Yeah.
almost every city in the US.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
And I think like as you walk from away from the tank, now we have some time where you know we need to focus on trying to whichever deals that we have done or wherever we invested to get them in order, help them with branding, marketing, scaling up. You know, if we can do a little bit beyond the normal,
Yeah.
I think it would really motivate those guys. You know?
Yeah.
So that's what we are trying to focus on. At least I'm trying to focus on.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for your time and effort. And I really believe, for me, Mapdanda, the excitement of watching the show when it's there, every episode I'll be glued on to see how it goes and what the young people are thinking and the ideas they're throwing. But मेरो लागि मापदण्ड Shark Tank success is next season सुरु हुँदाखेरि चाहिँ जुन अघि मैले भने नि, यो हामीले यतिजनालाई जस्तो 29 20 जना गरेको थियौँ, उनीहरूको कथा फर्स्ट एपिसोड अफ द्याट शुड बी यहाँ थियो उनीहरूले पिच गर्दाखेरि र आज चाहिँ यहाँ छन् है. त्यो भयो भनेदेखि चाहिँ नेक्स्टको प्रोमोमै त्यो भयो भनेदेखि देन नट 122, you will get 10,000 people who want to say I want to pitch, because they will see, oh wow, look at this, he was here or they were here and now they are here. For me, the milestone is not only how the TRP and how successful the program is when the next time it comes, it's not 122, you're like, my God, we've got 5,000 great ideas. Now, what are we going to do with these? Do we run parallel ones? And I think looking at the Sharks, looking at your energy and your excitement, that is what has got me, really. Right? To have the people who you invested in energized is one thing, but to see that energy in all of you and to see that, wow, this is something great, this is what we want to do, that's amazing. What an amazing episode we've had, truly, truly. धेरै गफ त सुनियो, धेरै ज्ञान त सुनियो, धेरै एपिसोडहरूमा, धेरै सोहरूमा, तर साँच्चै नै म पैसा दिन्छु है. अब हामी सँगै अगाडि बढौँ है भन्ने, it is a different thing altogether. Today it has been a great learning for me. And today I have hope. मान्छेले भन्छ नि अन्धकार छ अनिलजी, तपाईले कसरी यस्तो पोजिटिभ हुनुहुन्छ? पोजिटिभ छु किनभने we have sharks like yourselves. We have people who are willing to put not only your gyan but your money with the youth, with the entrepreneurs. I wish Shark Tank every success, and more than that, I wish all of you and the ventures that you've invested in great success going forward. Thank you so much for making the time and coming in. Thank you.